Ah, shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Season 5 Goals entry draft. I am Ani Escola, also known as Evan, here, Deputy Commissioner and owner of the Finns. Alongside me, co-hosting here is Mr. Squibbles Kachuk. How you doing, Squibs?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here, Evan. Year two. I learned a thing or two. Everybody who was here in season four knows that I didn't come in a suit and tie or a shirt and tie. So I'm back this year, a little bit better, hopefully. So anybody who's watching who was here last year hopefully won't flame me as hard. So
Awesome. Yeah, you got the dress code memo this time, I guess. Huge shout out before we get started to Dave Axis for this wonderful production and all the fancy stuff you're going to see tonight. And obviously, to all the prospects that make a draft like this possible, good luck tonight and best of luck. So, without further ado, the Albuquerque Pharaohs are on the clock for the first overall selection. Squibs, Albuquerque, they won the lottery big time with the first two picks. What direction do you see them going here?
well, considering a lot of these players are going to end up on their affiliate, or a lot of players are going to end up on affiliate teams. I think kind of grabbing best players available might be the best move for them. That or grabbing somebody who's active. Definitely probably going to go forward in defenseman is my assumption, but it's Cam, so you never fully know. Evan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, going to that best player available thing that you mentioned, like on my most recent ringside appearance, I did mention historically our draft has been very team needs driven, and but this time with so many or so few pro roster spots, so many affiliates being drafted here tonight, I think we're going to see a very heavy best player available mindset back towards what the actual NHL tends to do. So I can see Cam's typing. We'll see what he comes up with. Um, Yeah, they've got, like I said, they won the lottery bigger than anybody's won before here with two back-to-back selections right at the top. And then the Turku Finns will be coming up right after that, so I'll have to make my pick. Let's maybe bring in a guest here while we wait for these picks. Emilia Rose, Chewy Canadian, are you around? Do you want to maybe comment on where you think Albuquerque's going? I don't know if he's around.
Well, Evan, while we lose, it sounds like Albuquerque has made their first overall pick, which means Albuquerque is back on the clock for their second overall pick. Evan, you want to announce the first pick?
Sure thing. So with the first overall selection in the Season 5 draft, the Albuquerque Pharaohs have selected Warsaw Warlock left winger Stig Magnus. Stig is a very active member of the minor leagues here, and somebody that I expected to go high. First overall is about as high as you can go, obviously. So, what are your thoughts on the pick?
Yeah, Stig was definitely one of those guys one of those players who really kind of captivated on the ice. Definitely somebody who helped with the winning culture there in Warsaw this past season as they won the minors championship. So, fantastic selection by Cam and for Albuquerque. Uh, Also, to my understanding, it sounds like he's getting promoted to the head of scouting. So, it sounds like Stig is already making an impact there in Albuquerque.
Yeah, that's great to see these minor league players get some chances to learn and take on a pro role. Um, yeah, I'm looking over here at the mock draft that was released this morning, earlier for my taste, but or too early for my taste, I should say. But came out, it had its Stig Magnus going ninth overall. Did have him going to Albuquerque, so right team, just 8 picks sooner than expected. Let's see here. Okay, I'm still going. So maybe Cornwall, are you around? Did you want to maybe comment on this pick here? Are we going 0 for 2 here? Yeah, he might not be listening to me. We might be going 0 for 2 here. Great start to the show with the guests. I think that's more mishaps than we've had all in the last draft, but is what it is. Yeah, I guess Squibs, did you want to maybe talk about your team that's really focused on building up your affiliate program in Tokyo, and and the pick is in. We'll talk about that in a moment. Squibs, did you want to take away the second overall selection?
Yeah, with the second overall pick, the Albuquerque Pharaohs have selected left winger Timothy Alexander from the Saskatoon Farmers. Evan, can you, before you end up on the clock, tell us a little bit about Timothy?
Yeah, so I'll just say it really quickly so we get the I guess the clock started whenever Dave has a chance. The Turku Finns officially are on the clock. I think I know where we're going here, so we'll just give it a minute for my staff to weigh in. But yeah, Alexander playing for Saskatoon, a big reason why they got to the Cup final. He's got that scoring touch, and yeah, just a phenomenal young player playing on the wing there for the Farmers. Um, the mock draft I mentioned earlier did have him going here, number 2 to Albuquerque, so that's a correct pick for them. Yeah, and like just a phenomenal pick. Did you want to maybe give your thoughts here while I get my pick ready?
Sure thing. I mean, as some of us had talked about previously, 5'7", 129-pound players can sometimes get lit up. Alexander's a sniper who's 5'7", 129 pounds. Some of our best players in the league, though, are right around that same height. You look over in Dublin at Grizzly Bear now. Fletcher Reed, who just got promoted to the pros. Both of those guys, 5'7", 129 pounds, are right around that same range. So there's definitely potential and some high hopes for what Alexander can kind of grow into. Bear's a great player to kind of build yourself after. And so I think Alexander has a bright future ahead of him. And Albuquerque has made two phenomenal picks back to back. So Evan, while we wait for your pick, I will actually bring on Fletcher Reed if he's available. I kind of talked about making that jump to the pros and going straight from the minors to becoming a team owner. So, Fletcher, if you're available to get on.
Hey,
Hey, how you doing?
not too bad. Yourself?
I'm doing well. Happy to have you here. So, not sure if you heard, but hoping to just kind of hear your thoughts on making that jump from the minors straight to being a team owner, as well as then your player getting promoted to the pros.
Yeah, it's been quite a learning curve.
Yeah. So, I guess what is the biggest thing that you've had to learn since taking over?
I'd say a lot of the ins and outs of how the league works behind the scenes.
Fair enough. What has been your favorite thing since taking over?
Uh, I don't. Uh, I think it's just having like control of the lines and stuff's always interesting.
Fair enough. Well, thank you for jumping on here and talking. I've seen Evan typing a little bit. He still has about 2 minutes and 15 seconds while we wait for this pick to come in. So, Fletcher, thank you for joining us. And right there, as I said it, Evan has made his pick. Evan, you want to announce it?
Yeah, sure. I will announce this pick here. Just getting my screen here situated. But with the third overall selection here in the season 5 entry draft, the Turku Finns have selected center slash left winger Jasper Mikkonen of the Warsaw Warlocks. So the second Warlock going here in the top 3. He's a Finnish player, somebody I've had a lot of positive conversations with. And somebody who my staff can really get behind here. A nice pick at number 3. What are your thoughts here on the third overall pick as we put Redwater officially on the clock?
Well, I hate the pick, but I love the player. Um, Jasper was somebody who was very high on our board. Somebody who last season learned that second position who kind of helped, elevate his player, but also at the same time, help elevate his team. And so, I think, you're looking and seeing these Warsaw guys getting selected early. There was a reason for it. You know, saw this in real life, this Stanley Cup championship kind of tax that some of these Avalanche free agents went out and got. So maybe it's a similar concept being applied here with these Warsaw guys getting taken early.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, you saw that with Nazem Kadri the other day in Calgary for one example. But yeah, they're great players. Warlocks did a lot of special things this season, so very deserving. Did you want to announce that Redwater pick that just came in?
Yeah. So with the fourth overall pick, Redwater Undertakers. Goodness, yeah. Take Dan Norris, an offensive defenseman. So that
Yeah,
now puts Melbourne on the clock. Evan, take it away.
yeah. Norris, he played for the Atlantic Bucks in the minors. Yeah, very impactful guy at both ends of the ice. Solid offensive play. Somebody that's a lot of mock drafts had him going high. Looking at the rink side predictions, the James McRoss and all the other kind of chatter around the league had Norris going high. They actually had him going here to Melbourne at number 5, but he goes one earlier at number 4 to Redwater. Maybe while we have a minute here, while Melbourne mulls over their decision, Kamenev, are you around to maybe come on and talk about, I guess, the feeling of winning the lottery twice in one season and your thoughts on the picks you guys made?
I'm definitely not here. Um, no, yeah, it was a great feeling, and I felt like, given my luck, I felt like winning the lottery, not first and second, but it had to come with a catch. So tentatively hopeful still. Stig came out and he was really just on board with everything and super eager to help out. So it was just a no-brainer pick for me, and then he was actually the one that put Timothy on my radar. Uh, and without him, I probably wouldn't have even thought about it. I probably would have gone uh, a different direction. But he brought me my attention to Timothy, and we had some great talks. And yeah, now the rest is history. Time to get to work for both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. They're both, like I said earlier, they're both really active players, going to be great additions to your locker room, even as minor leaguers to start out. And with that, we have the Melbourne selection here. A player that fell a little further than I think most people expected, and that is Jake Prudhomme, the Manitoba Snowhawks, the defensive defenseman, going number 5 to Melbourne, and trying to get it in the draft board there. What are your thoughts on the selection here of Prudhomme, Squibs?
Fantastic pick. Rudon was very high on our boards as well. Rightfully so. I know as we discussed it, Evan, earlier this season, as a defensive defenseman, he kind of racked up points, kind of surprisingly for his build. But I think that kind of shows the kind of talent he is, in that you know, as a player, he's doing more than just being a defenseman by helping on the offensive side. So, fantastic pick by Melbourne as they look to continue to build their team and then their affiliates.
For sure. And one thing, well, I'll touch on the points thing. Like, I stream most of the minors games, all of the draft showcase games, and things like that. And sometimes when I'm streaming, I've got other stuff going on, not always looking super closely. But anytime there's a goal, I look over if I'm not already looking, and I feel like I saw his name pop up on my screen. I don't know what his goal total ended up with, but I feel like he scored more than most offensive or defensive defensemen typically do. And the other thing about this pick that we didn't really mention, I guess also with the Redwater pick, is these are two picks. I believe Redwater, if I'm not mistaken, but Melbourne for sure. These are two picks that are going pro right away. Um, most players in this draft won't be going pro immediately, but these two will. And we just had the third one in a row that I believe will be going pro. If you want to announce the San Diego Reapers selection.
Yeah, with the 6th overall pick, the San Diego Reapers select Skylar Stevens, sniping right winger from Saskatoon. Evan, can you talk about it while we're on the clock for 2 here in Florence?
Yeah, you guys have some things to sort out. Obviously over there. So yeah, Skylar Stevens, another super active player. That seems to be the trend. Every draft we do with the early picks, the people who have good conversations with the staff and active in the room, get their voice out there. That type of thing is more important to us as owners than how many goals or assists you get in the minors, because yeah, that shows you can score and produce, but it doesn't really, I guess, always translate to the pro level as much as you'd like. As we take a look at a phenomenal graphic made by Axis for Florence there. Yeah, really nice. But I was going to get Matt on here. I don't think he's actually available to talk tonight, is he? No, he's not. Let's bring on maybe Kevin Cushing. Do you want to talk about the selection of Prudhomme? Did you expect him to fall to 5 for you guys, or were you expecting to have to look a different direction? And what are your thoughts overall?
I was really nervous because before I knew that I was going to be the GM of Melbourne, I had actually tipped my hand and said that I thought Prudhomme was the best defensive player in the minors on an episode of Rinkside. So I was really worried that he was going to get sniped from me. I'd reached out to him and told him, like, hey, you were, my number one player in the minors, and sent him the link of the episode that he could see it. But I was
Nice.
worried he wouldn't fall.
Yeah, and if you look at, like I said, those Ringside predictions, the McGross mock that came out early this morning, I don't think very many people did expect him to fall here to 5 for you guys. So, it's a solid pick, especially needing a blue liner at the pro level. I think he'll be somebody that can fit in nicely for you guys over there in Melbourne.
Thank you.
All right, as Florence is still on the clock getting ready for their back-to-back picks. Don't want to call on any of their staff, obviously, as they're a little bit busy. Yeah, I'll take a moment here to give a shout out to Chewy Canadian, aka Amelia Rose, as well as Earl Flint. Chewy worked on the circle logos that we've got in the graphics and things like that, and those banners are courtesy of Earl Flint. Those little banners that you see at the bottom of the screen there. when a team is on the clock. So those two doing some great work with the graphics, and stuff like that's always appreciated in the league. We tend to try to reward people who put in the time and the effort on making this league better, whether it's graphics or stats or anything like that. So a huge shout out to those guys for chipping in with that work there. I see. I'm going to take a shot at somebody. I'm not sure if you're available to talk, but let's try Coco Raccoon. Are you around to maybe talk about that 4th overall selection of Dan Norris?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. You're a little quiet on my end. I don't know about the viewers though.
Dave always has me set really low. Always trying to shut me up. Yeah, no, Dan is somebody I know from other leagues, and really the thing for us having our only pro spot be on defense and how important it is to this league. I needed someone dependable and someone I knew that was gonna, check in every week, watch the streams. Um, as much as I want somebody who's a locker room presence, I think right now I'm just, I'm looking for somebody who's not going to go to Dublin in the off season.
Fair enough. Yeah, that player retention is huge, especially here in the draft. Speaking of it, I'm going to hop right back over here to the Florence Firebirds 7th overall selection. Squibs, did you want to announce your own pick, or are you still working on your number 8 pick there?
No, actually, Cole Ramsacek has taken over. I gave him the reins to let him kind of pick. I gave him, the sense of direction that, I kind of thought of where we should go, and he did a lot of our scouting for us this offseason. So, a free agent signee for us, and it's already immediately started to take help. But sometimes when it's not broke, don't need to fix it, and that's why the 7th overall pick, the Florence Firebirds select right defenseman Decky Peterson. Is a two-way defenseman who played for Tokyo and was our affiliate last season. So, like I said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And so, while we sit here and wait for the 8th overall pick to come in, I'll kick it back over to you, Evan, to analyze the pick.
Yeah, Decky, he's an active member of the community, somebody that's I know a little bit from some other fantasy hockey leagues and things, and I know he knows a number of people in this league from leagues like that, including yourself. And a minute or two before this pick was submitted, Travis Webster, a member of our staff in Turkey, who actually put in our staff room, I'd love to get Decky if we can. And I didn't really. I didn't really expect that we'd be able to get him. Obviously we could have taken him at 3 there, but I kind of knew that his heart was in Florence with you guys, and obviously we're happy with Mikkonen. So, and the Florence 8th overall pick is in. Did you want to announce it again, or do you want me to take this one, Squibs?
I got it, and then I'll kick it back over to you for the same analysis. With the 8th overall pick, the Florence Firebirds select Zelda McCarthy, playmaking center. Evan, back to you as we now put Albuquerque back on the clock for the 9th overall pick.
Yeah, another great pick. Somebody who's super active. I've had plenty of conversations with him or her. Obviously, as a unaffiliated minor, you could have those conversations all season long, and we did talk a little bit off and on during the season, and more so in the draft lead up. And just a great person, somebody that I was definitely looking at with our next pick. But obviously you guys beat us to the punch here. That's a great selection. What are your thoughts on the picks of Peterson and McCarthy?
Yeah, so if Cole is around and wants to talk, I'd be happy to have him jump on. So Cole, if you're available.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here now.
Yeah, so Cole, you want to talk about our picks?
Yeah, sure. I mean, both of these guys we had our eyes on for a while. And when it came down to it, I was confident in the picks. I had some good conversations with Zelda, so I knew that, I knew it would be a good pick. I was waiting to pull the trigger really, but that was kind of my plan.
Well, do you want to talk about kind of coming to a new team and taking on a new role, and then just, a little bit of that free agent experience, I guess?
Oh yeah, it was crazy for sure, but In the end, it was a lot of fun, and I enjoy taking on the reins of a team. And it just so happened to be a new team that I signed with, but overall, it was a fun experience, and I was happy to do it and keep doing it.
Awesome. Well, I know we're happy to have you here. I know I'm happy to have you here. Um, and so, Evan, back to the Albuquerque pick. Where do we think they're going here now?
Yeah, they could go any number of directions here. I think adding a defenseman to their affiliation would be a good idea. But they could. I think they've still got room for one more forward if they wanted to go that route. This is where they had in the McRoss mock they had Stig Magnus landing to them. Yeah, they've got a defenseman affiliate signed before the draft, so they could go either way here, forward or defense. For those of you that don't know, watching at home, each team when this draft ends, all 16 pro teams will have 19 rostered pro players, and we'll have a total of 5 affiliate players. And those affiliates can be broken down as either 3 forwards and 2 defensemen or 4 forwards and 1 defenseman. So every team has to take at least a defenseman or has to end up with at least a defenseman as an affiliate, whether it's signed before the draft or drafted during it, and can take no more than 3 total affiliate defensemen. So Kamenev now here with Albuquerque having 2 forwards and a defenseman now on their affiliate roster. They can go either way with this one. What do you think they're going to do here, Squibs?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I've been working the trade lines for the 14th overall pick that we own. So zoned out for just a minute. My assumption though is with the size of the defensive class, and then just who's available. My assumption is that they'll probably go D, even though there's a lot of great options. As we know in previous drafts, they're going to be a run of defensemen, and then there's not too many top end D men who are still standing there at the end. You know, it's a little easier to kind of tuck away, a lower overall forward than it is always a defenseman when teams are limited to only 3 or 4 defensemen between the 2 shared teams. So my assumption here, yeah, is probably defenseman. My guess is a defensive D man, just because we know how valuable those can be, especially at the lower levels.
Yeah, and like you said, there's a lot of talented defensemen left on the board. But the thing here is that Albuquerque, unless they make a trade, they don't pick again until the 39th pick. So that's 30 picks away. So by then the defense pool might dry up a little bit. Their defense core in the pros is pretty solid. So if they end up with only the one affiliate defenseman they've got previously signed, then that would be not the worst case for them. But the pick is in here, and it is Tokyo Tigers player Tamayo Rose, going way earlier than I guess the mocks had her, but a very active member of the league so far in their short time back in the league. So yeah, great pick. One of those activity long-term plays. We'll throw Redwater back on the clock here, and then Squibs, did you want to maybe comment on Rose as somebody who's been involved with the Tigers?
Yeah, Rose joined us late in the season, but it had an immediate impact. Extremely active, and then also was just somebody who was just so excited to be out on the ice, and just to see their player. I remember, they shortly after they joined, they saw themselves on the PK unit and didn't think they deserved to be out there. But they were, so excited to see that they were helping kill the penalty and had an important role early on. And so, I think that's something to take away for all players is you have to start somewhere. So, you might be lower than, your competition, but you're going to keep growing. And yeah, sometimes you'll make mistakes. Sometimes you'll make amazing plays. So things come and go, but you just got to keep moving forward, I guess.
Yeah, and that's yeah, especially with a young player. Like I think they're only like a 53 overall or something like that. And I'm just kind of flipping to see where the mock had them going. Had it at 25th, according to I printed out that McRoss mock from this morning, and yeah, it looks like 25th is where that mock had Rose going. But that activity, like I said, is so much more important than overall or how many goals you can score in the minors. Activity level is huge, and if you hit it off with a prospect in the conversation, or maybe you just see them in the chats in general, or the minors clubhouse, then yeah, it's usually a good indicator that they're going to stick around and go from there. Let's bring on a guest, maybe Kamenev. Did you want to talk again just about that Rose pick and I guess what went into that decision?
A lot went into that decision. I spent about 4.5 minutes thinking about that decision because there's two people that we kind of are going back and forth on, and it's really tough to choose between the two when you're pretty sure you're only going to get one of them. But we went with Tamayo just because the activity was there, and even though I had great conversations with both the people that we were looking at, the activity was a pretty deciding factor, and also positional need kind of played in there as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess like a follow-up question, you mentioned positional need right at the end there. Obviously with a pro roster filled, the affiliates is a little less need driven, but you mentioned it there. Is it's I guess something that's weighing heavily on your thoughts? Is that more for future holes that you're expecting to see on the Pharaohs roster, or are you more looking at what the Atlantic Bucks need in the short term as your affiliate team?
Bit of both. I mean, the Bucks could use both of the positions, but long term, we've got a lot of season six got people on season 6 contracts, and I just don't think I'm going to be able to bring everyone back. So having some people in spots that I feel can fill in the holes that will eventually come is going to be paramount.
Absolutely. Yeah, obviously future planning is a huge part of being an owner. Um, I'm just looking. We do have a trade to announce. So I'm gonna announce that really quick here as we wait for the Redwater pick. It does not impact the on the clock pick, but it does impact a pick a few slots down the road here. So it's a trade between Florence and the Melbourne Marauders. So Florence is going to send the 14th overall pick in this current draft, and Melbourne in return is sending a season 6 first round pick that did originally belong to Florence anyway. So they're getting their own pick back in exchange for the 14th overall selection in this draft. Squibs, did you want to maybe hop on and I guess talk a little bit about that pick, about that trade, and then announce the Redwater pick?
I'll actually do that in reverse order. I'll
Okay.
announce the pick, and then that way we can continue the draft. So with the
Sure.
10th overall pick, the Redwater takes Center Ink Turtle, who's a playmaker from the Saskatoon Farmers, which now puts, I believe, Honolulu onto the clock. So
Yep.
yeah, when talking about the trade, we had coming into it 3 draft picks. We had the 7th overall pick, the 22nd overall pick, and I believe the 30th overall pick. We only had 2 slots available, so we knew we wanted to try to move up or consolidate with our picks. And sorry about that, fly went into the glasses. And so we knew that we wanted to consolidate them. We traded for Norfolk's 8th overall pick for a pick next year, a first next year, and then our season 7 second. And then we moved up for our 22nd pick and the 30th pick to that 14th pick, and then traded that 14th pick away for another first next season. So ultimately, it was a lot of pick movement for us. But now we have technically 4 first-round picks for next season, one of them being sent to Norfolk. So just kind of, playing based off of need and demand, and we didn't need the pick. Somebody else did, and it cost a first next year for it. So we're happy with it. We're happy with the guys that we have grabbed. But yeah, enough about us. Evan, you want to talk about Dink Turtle and the pick for Redwater?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm just gonna mention there was a question I think Kozak actually said who were the pineapples before. He's talking about the Honolulu Tropics. If you missed it, there was a video reveal on a Ringside episode a few weeks ago. That is the Cleveland Hounds rebranding to the Honolulu Tropics with the ownership change that they saw during the season. So that's why this logo and branding might look new to a lot of people. It is their new design. So yeah, Turtle, that's somebody who's been very active in the league since they joined. A great member of that Saskatoon team, somebody who's shown a willingness to do whatever the team needs for them to win. Went to the Cup final with Saskatoon and played defense for a while. That minor league final, if you missed it, it was a heck of a series for anybody who missed it. But one thing I found really interesting about the teams, about the sorry, I just got a message, but about the teams that made it is the two teams that made it to the final were the only two that were playing players so far out of position that forwards were playing defense or vice versa, and it was kind of a matchup of strategies where Saskatoon tried to limit the exposure of Joe NHL on the blue line by playing their forwards on defense. They played two of them and actually only had one defenseman, Joe NHL, whereas Warsaw went the other way and put defensemen on forward, had 12 humans playing forward, only one human on defense, 5 Joe NHLs. So, it's kind of an interesting little battle of strategies there. And Dank Turtle was one of those players playing defense for Saskatoon and showed that willingness. And a great active player. So Honolulu has made their selection. I'll announce it really quick, and then I'll pass it over to you as I feel the trade offer and a potential selection here. Honolulu Tropics selecting left wing / center playmaker, another Warlock off the board. It's Andrew Payne this time. Squibs, did you want to maybe take it away from here?
Yeah, happy to go handle your team's business. I jumped over to the Twitch chat, saw long enough that Payne mentioned that he had not been picked yet, and that was shocking. So I guess if you're a prospect out there in our Twitch chat, just throw your name out there, and maybe you'll get picked right away. Worked for Payne, and so glad for him. If David Leathers is available to jump on, I would love to have him jump on, talk a little bit about the Warsaw Magic that we saw this past season and that we're seeing here in the draft tonight. So, David, if you're around.
I am around. Yeah, I'd be happy to chat with you guys. I know I helped Potty quite a bit with the strats, but really, I mean, once I sort of was helping him with that initially, I really just kind of turned it over to him. So really got to give credit to him for all the coaching and obviously the players on the team. It's just overall great performance. It was competitive, but yeah, shout out to all of Warsaw. Those guys deserve the championship for sure.
Yeah, so I know Dublin's coming up before long. How you guys feeling over there?
I think we're feeling pretty good. We kind of obviously don't have a pick here in this first round, so we're just sitting back, seeing how it all plays out. But yeah, we're having a good time chatting, just looking at the draft board, seeing who might fall, I guess, and what everybody else does.
Fair enough. Well, thank you, David, for joining us. We're going to kick it off to another player. Actually, if Krieg is around to jump on, talk a little bit about the league and just how far we've grown. So, Krieg, if you're available.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, so yeah, as I was saying, you wouldn't mind just kind of talking about, how much we have grown in a year, and I guess now at this point about a year and a half. So, how do you feel of starting this league? Not too long ago to where we are now.
Well, we started off with 6 teams. I think it was 2 forward lines and then 2 defensive lines. So what's that? 3, 6, 10 players on each team plus a goalie. So 11 players on each team to now having 16 full teams. of 19 players apiece, plus minors where we have affiliates to the pros in case you need to get called up if anybody leaves the league, to pretty much almost filling 8 minors teams as well. That growth is tremendous in a year and a half. And we just going to continue to keep growing. And everybody hates the word, but maybe we'll do expansion again.
So this was our first off season without expansion. How do you feel that went?
Honestly, it's going great because this is 66 players in this draft, so that isn't bad at all. And I'm pretty sure most minor players that are going back to the minors are actually okay with it. So there's no bad blood between everyone, so that's always a good thing as well. Like nobody's rushing themselves to get into the pros, which is awesome as well.
Yeah. So I guess while we have you on, just kind of the head guy, where do you think Evan and Turkey were going to go with this pick?
I think Evan's gonna go forward. They already picked the D-man with their last pick. Or no, they picked Jasper Meekinen, so maybe they'll go defenseman. Sorry, my bad. I think they like to go balanced. I think they're going to try to help their minors team out, try to win that cup for them.
Fair enough. Speaking of that, do we have dang it, Mr. David Hume is not here to talk about the success of Malmo. So while we're waiting, kind of looking at the board, based off of what Krieg was saying, I guess looking at the defensive men available, Dan Gleasack looks like the highest rated defenseman available. He is an enforcer build. After that, you have Jordan Ton. Sorry if I mispronounced that, but that's who I am. And then Will Smith, Cam Johnson, as well as G.I. Joe Jarhead and Jerry Jackson, all kind of following up there. So for the defensive side, that kind of shows up the top of the ranked, overall players. Of course, people who are lower overall, you as we've seen already with this draft, you can get picked earlier based on activity levels, team involvement, and stuff along those lines. And with that, Evan, I see that you've just submitted your pick. You want to take it away?
Yeah, I hit send on it with 5 or 10 seconds left. Yeah, I was just sending a apology message almost to the trade partner that we had, but our selection is left or it's a defenseman, Dan Gleasack from Vancouver. Comes highly recommended from Kozak. We almost took him at number 3 overall. We had a trade offer for the pick, and we talked about it as a staff, and got whoever was available to weigh in at the moment to weigh in, and yeah, it's we ended up deciding we had to take the pick. So without further ado, the Florida Challengers are on the clock. What are your thoughts, Squibs, on the Gleasack pick and what Florida's going to do here?
Yeah, I think Gleasack is a very solid pick, as I was just talking about. Looking at the board itself, he was the highest overall rated D-man still available at a 62 overall. Just a fantastic player. He was there in Vancouver last season, so jumping over to Malmo, maybe help lead Malmo. I know Hume is probably somewhere happy right now, being able to help shore up that back end because Turku obviously cares about defense now. So guess Evan has learned a thing or two in his time in the league. So
yeah, there was a time when a certain person or two thought that Turku didn't care about defense at all. Wasn't necessarily the case. We just had the high speed style with the personnel that we've got. But now we've bulked up defensively. Gleasack, he's not going to have a great or not going to have a pro roster right away, but he's going to help Malmo tremendously as they try for that minor league championship and then potentially have a shot for the Turku roster the following season, maybe depending on what happens with the cap or other moves. And somebody that we're happy to bring in. I think I mentioned Kozak highly recommended him. Kozak sent us a few recommendations since we brought him in, and all of them have been pretty solid picks, such as Matthew Ousley, who led all rookies or tied for the lead in all rookies in assists this season, as well as a few other names that he's brought up. Somebody we couldn't pass up. I know he's got some name value in other fantasy leagues or other sim leagues as well. Dan Gleasack does. So somebody that we're thrilled to bring into Turku. And for the person who is trying to trade for the pick, I apologize, but we had to make that pick, and we're running low on time before I could let you know. But yeah, we're thrilled with the pick. Did we want to maybe bring on, trying to see who's available here? Coco, did you want to come on maybe again and talk about the pick of Dank Turtle a few selections ago?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's someone who I noticed was very active in the chat as of late. He had a lot of progressions that he put forward, and so I know he's been very active in Twitch as well. And the thing is, I wanted guys that Sponge was comfortable with there in Saskatoon, to kind of put the best roster he can forward in there if they're not going to be come up right away. I want those guys to have fun and enjoy themselves while we try to get them a spot, whether it's for Redwater or even for another team.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good point. He did play for Saskatoon. He's going back there as a affiliate of yours, and you make it a good pick if there's a couple middle finger emoji reactions on it in the draft chat. So a nice selection there. And with that, we have the Florida selection. They have gone with a center, a playmaker out of Manitoba, member of the league, and that is Parker Minion of the Manitoba Snowhawks. And there we go. It's on the draft board now. Melbourne Marauders back up on the clock. Minion's been, like I said, a very active member of this community since, especially over the last number of weeks leading up to this draft, and somebody that is very hyped for the draft and looking forward to it. So it's great to see him come off here in the first round at 13th overall. Just another example of activity matters in this league. So more so than points or anything like that doing the minors. Let's see, who do we have here as Melbourne's on the clock? I see Nathaniel Ironsides in the voice chat. If you're available, did you want to maybe hop on here, talk about what it was like for you a season ago being selected by Florida almost at the same point in the draft? It was very very similar time, I think 12th or 13th. So Ironsides, if you're around, did you want to maybe talk about that experience and what you think about your new, I guess Florida's new organization member in Parker Minion?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I had a pretty similar experience as you said. I was 13. I believe I was 13th. I know I talked to a handful of teams, but as soon as I messaged Trevor during the draft, I knew it's exactly the kind of place I wanted to go. I knew what I had to do to progress my career, and I don't regret it whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like Florida's a great organization. Last season was you were their only pick, I think, for the pro roster, and they obviously had a great season with you as well. So, congratulations on that success. Looks like Squid's went off camera again, trying to get that fly. Did you get it yet, Squid?
No. Each time that I get ready to kill it, it flies away. Moment I pulled the note away and got ready to get started again, flew right into the glasses again. So whatever Dave's working, he's really killing it with the behind the scenes, I guess. So um, you know, kind of talking about Parker, looking at this Florida pick, one might say he was the steal of the draft. Evan, that might come early. I know that Trev is somewhere excited and very happy right now. So Evan, if you want to talk a little bit and why that's kind of a comical saying now.
Yeah, we tease Trev, but it's all in good fun. That's kind of his signature saying, I guess, if you will. Early in the league's history, there wasn't, like they're fictional players. We don't know a lot about these players, especially early on. Now, there's a lot more content. There's a lot more games and stuff like that. These players are in the league a lot longer before the draft. But back in our first ever mock of a live draft type of experience, Trev just said kind of steal of the draft was like his go to because especially as somebody not from a hockey background and so many players that we just didn't know much about. That was it was hard to think of things to say. So he said that quite a bit, and now it's kind of become a catchphrase. And I think we're gonna have to get some T-shirts made up or something. And with that, we've got the Melbourne Marauders 14th overall selection after the trade with you. Did you want to announce that name?
Yeah, with the 14th overall pick, the Melbourne Marauders select Tom Adamo Jr., a playmaker. Hopefully I said that name correctly. Evan, take it away with the pick.
Yeah,
Actually,
this is
more on the clock, and then you can take it away for the pick.
yeah. We got the Navs up there on the clock. Norfolk Navigators. Yeah, Adamo Jr. He's a player who played for Melbourne. Was a pretty active, or sorry, not Melbourne, Malmo. Oh, tripping over my words here already. Yeah, a player for the Royals, which was obviously the Finns affiliate. So I saw him a little bit more. Well, I saw everybody as a minor streamer, but focused a little more on the Malmo games, and he's a dynamic player. Good at both ends of the ice. He's a playmaking build. Yeah, just and in the locker room, great presence there, and a phenomenal a person in the server. So nice to see him going 14th overall here to Melbourne, and hopefully he can find some success there as he heads over to Australia. While we await the Navs pick, Cushing, did you want to maybe hop on here and give your thoughts on selecting a forward in Tom Adamo Jr.?
It was really tough because obviously we're still trying to fill our D-men spots for the folks that we're going to call up. But this was a big gamble for me because the D-men that I really liked that were still left. I was crushed when you picked Gleasack. Had great conversations with him. Was sorry to see him go, but honestly, he had no business falling that far to begin with. But yeah, with the demon I'm targeting next projected to fall a lot further, I figured I'd go ahead and gamble on what I thought was a really good first round quality forward who I was kind of surprised to still see.
Yeah, for sure. Adamo Jr., he's somebody, I think I had him in the top 5 on my ringside appearance. Just checking the McRoss mock here. They had him at 10, so yeah, fell even further than the so-called expert thought or than I thought as well. So yeah, great value at 14. Your comments on Gleasack, there was quite a bit quite a bit of interest, I think, in him. That was probably who the trade up attempt was for, and like you said, great value at number 12, and we just couldn't risk the trade back even if it wasn't very far. He was just somebody we had to pick and not risk it because we had considered him at number 3, and yeah, we were thrilled to see him fall to number 12. So wasn't expecting that, and yeah, obviously sorry it throws a wrench in your plans, but you no, maybe not. I don't know, but you got a great value there in Tom Adamo Jr. Anyway. So Norfolk still got another couple minutes here on the clock. Squibs, did you have any thoughts on the Adamo pick, or I guess how the draft is unfolding so far?
Well, I mean, based on, I believe, last year's draft, I feel like you might have learned a thing or two on taking the D-man you want earlier than you should. So I feel like everyone in Jacksonville is somewhere kind of celebrating at that comment right now, and they probably have that clip somewhere ready to go.
That was two drafts ago, and the clip is still pinned in Roundtable, I think, or Rona's chat. Yeah. My face for those of you that don't remember it or didn't see it, I had 2 picks, one pick in between. That was Jacksonville picking, and I had 2 targets. I took one of them probably could have waited on that. Should have taken a different guy. Jacksonville sniped me in between, and my face was pretty clear on my feelings about that pick. So there's a clip of it bouncing around somewhere, just like there's now in league content a clip of a fly flying into Squibs' glasses. So yeah, we get some good stuff out of these draft shows. But yeah, sorry, Squibs, you can go on.
You win some, you lose some. Sometimes you lose a lot, but it all counts on how you get back up and keep going. So I guess with talking about keep going, how do we think Norfolk's going to go with this pick?
Yeah, they've got a number of, I guess, directions they could go. I don't think they've got any affiliates under contract. I could be wrong about that. I'm just pulling that up. Yeah, they've got no affiliates. They do have a full pro roster, so it's just the 5 affiliates that they're drafting for. And when that's the case, you can go any which way. They might have a player they expect to lose down the road, or they might just be drafting for best player available. But the pick has been submitted. Did you want to make that announcement, or you want me to?
Yeah, I'll take it away with the 15th overall selection. The Norfolk Navigators select defensive D-man Jordan Ton with their pick, which now puts Jacksonville on the clock. Evan, you want to talk about this pick?
Yeah, he's another player that probably fell a little further than he should have. I know he's got some ties to a couple of team staff members around the league, and he's got a pretty good overall. And like we said a few times, those defensive defensemen are pretty valuable. And as a 61 overall or something like that, it's one of the highest in the class. I saw somebody talking about in general that he was new and he's only a 60, but the highest in this class, draft eligible anyway, is 62. So seeing Ton at a 61, one of the highest in the class, fall to 15, and obviously overall isn't everything, but he's a pretty active player as well, and I believe he's got some sim league experience in other leagues. So he's the kind of guy that you can probably bank on sticking around, at least in the league, whether it's with your team or another team. But somebody that I guess you can hope to build around down the line here. And we've got the Vipers pick in, and this is two-way defenseman Blake McTavish of the Malmo Royals. He played for Vancouver as a Florida affiliate before the trade deadline when we actually traded for him. We sent our second round pick to Florida in exchange for Blake McTavish, and he entered the draft, and here he is going to Jacksonville at number 16. He's a great player, scored a few goals in the minors, just a dominant player on the back end at both ends of the ice, and somebody that's I'm happy to see in the first round. He belongs in the first round, so hell of a talent. What are your thoughts, Swift, as Melbourne's on the clock now?
I have to agree. Jacksonville has grabbed a great player for him. I believe that was their second affiliate D-man. So with their next pick, we are pretty sure that they're going to go forward based on the rules. Looking at Blake and his attributes, he's definitely kind of a little bit higher in speed for a player his size. At 6'3", 210 pounds, nothing massive, but already being a 77 overall, and still being in the minors, or 77 speed, sorry, and still being in the minors, definitely somebody who we'll be able to kind of get up and down the ice a little bit quicker this year, and kind of maybe wreak a little bit more havoc than last season. So while we wait for Melbourne's pick, do you think they're going to go with that D-man now?
Yeah, I think they'd have to, otherwise they're waiting till 33 to make that pick, and it's interesting because they have that pro roster spot on the blue line available, and they chose to go forward at number 14 because, as Cushing mentioned, there's some defensemen that he likes that were expected to fall a little further, and it'd be interesting to see if one of those two was the ones that just got picked. Because since Melbourne's pick, there have been two defensemen out of two picks off the board. So I wonder if that throws a wrench into what the Marauders were thinking. But their pick is in. It is a defenseman. It is this one always trips me up because on the roster sheet. Pardon me?
It's all yours.
Yeah, on the roster sheet, there's an L in front of it. On his username, there isn't. So it's either Xavier Lingham or Xavier Ingham. I'm not sure which one it is, but either way, Xavier, the Saskatoon Farmer defenseman, going to Melbourne, the two-way defenseman at the first pick of the second round, and that puts the Honolulu Tropics back on the clock. What are your thoughts on the pick of Xavier there at number 17, Swips?
I would say it's, kind of interesting, definitely kind of what Cushing was saying is, somebody who, they could probably let slide after that forward pick and, felt comfortable with it. Nothing, of course, on Xavier itself. He's just a little bit lower overall comparatively against some of the other players in this class. So, definitely, could be based on activity, could be based on connections. Cushing was leading, a young, strong team. Definitely, somebody who I get the sense that, is going to pick the guys that he wants and going to kind of roll with that. So, um, you know, like I said, a little bit lower overall player, but sometimes those lower overall guys make the biggest impact. Looking at our team itself, our lowest overall player is Guy Clausen, and I'd argue that he's probably the most important player on our team with his activity level, as well as just the way he interacts with all the guys. So,
Yeah, for sure. And overall, EA I don't think has ever actually released the formula that calculates this all important overall number, but it's not always the best indication of impact. It's the best thing we have to use for cap or anything like that because there's not really another option. And but sometimes the lower overalls have bigger impacts. Like on Turku, for example, William Heaney been here since season one, but his overall reflects as if he's been here since like season 2 or 3, and he's a very impactful player on our blue line, and it's just going to be one of those situations where his build is working, but his overall isn't maybe as high as some of the other players at his position, and that just has to do with the offensive defenseman and what attributes matter, and it makes him a great value when it comes to the cap, and there's a few players like that around the league as well. And with that, the Honolulu Tropics have selected their player. Would you like to make that announcement there, Swibs? Yeah, I think he's muted.
oh
Unless that,
goodness, I don't know how
yeah,
that happened. Thanks, guys. So with the second pick in the second round, the Honolulu Tropics take center Brandon Cuevas, a sniper from Warsaw, which now puts Redwater on the clock. So, Evan, I think we're already at our record amount of gaffs this draft, and we're only the second pick into the second round. So, how we feeling, Evan?
yeah. Yeah, it's probably fitting that we've had our record number of gaffes here because Dave and the two of us were just talking before the show about how we've had as like it felt like it was too easy this time. Like we've done this now 3 times. Dave and I anyway. This is your second time putting together the show, and everything ran so much smoother. We didn't have to have a meeting a few days in advance like we normally do, and it just felt really easy. So of course things were going to go wrong when we were talking that confidence, but yeah, Redwater's on the clock here. Brendan Cuevas, another Warlock off the board. A big body. You look at him, you think he's going to be an enforcer or two-way or a power forward or something like that, but he's a sniper. But with just that, like he has to duck to get into the penalty box. I think like it's unbelievable the size that this guy's got on him, and I mean maybe he just looks bigger than he is, but a big body sniper there for Honolulu's affiliate program, and yeah, just another great pick there. With Redwater on the clock,
They have
like
I
oh,
believe, a pro D spot available based on the team needs chart. So,
I
Evan,
think that was filled with Dan Norris. I don't think Doug's updating the team needs as we go here. I think Dan
Lane,
Norris filled that spot at number 4
that makes
um, on the blue line. But the mock that was released this morning that I mentioned, I printed. It does have a defenseman going here. That would be Yodi Logic, another farmer. And as we heard from Coco earlier today, he if he's between a couple players, he'd gladly bring somebody back to Saskatoon who spent some time there last season, and this would be another opportunity to do that if he follows the mock. But there's a lot of good players still on the board. A lot of them that were mocked to go higher than this pick. So, yeah, they could go really any number of ways. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the board, I feel like based on what the logic that you just provided, logic seems like a fantastic pick. I know somebody in the chat's probably yelling at me for that comment, but hey, is what it is. I could definitely see him going forward here, kind of, grabbing some youth to kind of provide in those pipelines in case anything were to happen throughout the season. So, in case anyone's not entirely sure how the affiliate program works, anytime that a pro team, has a opening on their pro roster, they will turn to their affiliate program first and try to make the call up from there. And if they don't have a player in that exact position, they can make a trade or select select through waivers somebody who hasn't been selected. So. Yeah, Evan, I think you were pretty set on with bringing a Saskatoon player back, just a little off on the wrong player. So with the third overall pick of the second round, Redwater takes Ronnie Shanahan, sniper from the Farmers, which now puts Alaska on the clock. Evan, you want to talk about the Ronnie pick?
Yeah, Shanahan's a player that's had a huge impact down the stretch for the Farmers. I've said it a couple times when we've seen these Farmers players, get taken. They upset Vancouver in the first round, and yeah, they I've said it a few times with Saskatoon players that they've had an impact down the stretch and really a team first kind of mentality. But this was probably Saskatoon's one of, if not the best player they had in the playoffs. He was solid all season long, but when the playoffs hit, I feel like he really took over and they've got a lot of good scorers on Saskatoon, so it could be any number of them. But yeah, Shanahan had a phenomenal postseason run as well as a very solid regular season, and I feel like we're going to be saying it for the rest of the second round here, but he's a player that should have gone higher. But when you look at the players who went ahead of him, they all should have gone. There's a lot of good players in this draft class, and it's really hard to differentiate between them. And speaking of good players, here's another one that was highly rated on our board, mocked into the first round, and that is Alaska Arctic Wolves, pick number 20 overall, the fourth pick of the second round, and they have selected Cam Jones. The if I can type correctly, we'll get that in the draft board for you guys. But the playmaking winger from the Iceland Ice. So just before we break down the Cam Jones pick, we do have an announcement to make. I think there it is. There's the graphic. The Glasgow Blackwatch have officially rebranded and moved to become the Rome Gladiators. So Squibs, did you want to maybe quickly talk as the Rome Gladiators go on the board? Sorry, 1 second. As the Rome Gladiators go on the clock, did you want to maybe talk about having another Italian team in the league? Obviously, you were there with Florence already.
Hey, all I know is that the Renaissance started in Florence. Rome was kind of an afterthought back then, and not saying that they aren't now, but I'll leave that up for Triple H to decide. He's probably sitting there ready to fire off and talk about how Rome is better than Florence. But hey, it's what it is. He moved here. He knew that the smack was going to get started as soon as he made that decision. So I'm happy that Italy is now having a second team represented. Italy, the hockey nation of the world, obviously. Yeah, not
There-
Canada, not Finland, none of these predominant hockey programs, but yeah, Italy. So obviously all of this is in good fun. I'm very excited to have Rome here and excited to I look forward to beating them up a little bit this next season, letting them know who the hopefully better Italian team is. So Evan, let's talk about the Cam Jones selection, though.
Yeah, just really quick while you were talking, I had a couple of thoughts on the Rome move. Was obviously you guys battled for that last playoff spot all season long. Both of you fell just short of Albuquerque, but so you guys were already in existing rivalry, close in the standings, plus the division rivalry part of it. So this is just going to be added fun to that. But not only that, now Italy has two teams in our pro league. Canada, arguably the best nation in the world for hockey talent, has zero. So kind of shows how the sim world can sometimes be a little bit backwards. So with that, yeah, Rome's on the clock now. Cam Jones, that was somebody that I expected to go a lot sooner. You know, he's one of the players with some high overall. Um, and yeah, a very talented winger for the ice down the stretch. He was mocked to be taken. Let me just see here at 13th overall to Florida. So, yeah, he fell a little bit for his projection, but still a great value here for Alaska. And you know, Alaska is like the Baltimore Ravens of Gohls, where they every draft they just seem to get good players no matter how late they're picking, and players just fall into the laps. You know, it happened with Cam Creed in the third round a couple seasons ago, which is outrageous. And as a Steelers fan, I hate to see it happen to the Ravens. And you know, as a Turku Fin, it sucks to see it happen to Alaska. But what are your thoughts on this? As I actually have a list from Rome that I'm going to have to submit a pick for. So you want to take it away for a minute?
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, I do see HHH typing. Granted, of course, you know more than I do. But I think with the Alaska side, we just gotta stop letting guys named Cam fall to Alaska. As you mentioned, Cam Creed previously, just kind of, one of those defensive D-men who, when he fell, it was very shocking to see him fall. And just seeing how it happened, and just seeing him staying in good and positive spirits and sticking around in the league, over there in Alaska this year, I believe he did pretty well. I don't know if Krieg's available to talk about landing Cam Creed back then and Cam Jones now. So Krieg, if you want to jump on.
Listen, all the cams can come to Alaska, okay? He he's now a cup champion, so that definitely helped out for him. Hopefully we get Cam Jones the same.
Yeah. So what is your plan for this upcoming season?
Hopefully to repeat, be the first team in Goals to repeat. We kept our team completely intact except for one D-man. I wish I could have kept him, but Cap, I was 1 point over Cap to keep my whole team intact. So I had to let him go, unfortunately. Bought over Turku's affiliate with the trade, and hopefully I can help him get a cup too.
Fair enough. Yeah. You want to talk about that Cap and just, I mean, you were a team that obviously was impacted by it at least a little bit. But how do you think it's going to impact teams moving forward?
Well, I'm already looking forward, and it's probably going to happen to me again, but a lot of the other top teams are probably going to lose a lot of players. I don't know. It's going to be tough for some teams coming up as we go forward. So there's going to be a lot of movement here probably in the next 2 seasons.
Well, fair enough. Thank you, Krieg, for jumping on here. Evan, if you want to announce the pick.
Yeah. So their selection here is they're going forward. They do have an open defenseman spot, but they're going to stock their cupboards up front with Raymond Scott of the Iceland Ice. And as you'll notice on the draft board, all the Glasgow slots have changed to Rome now that we've made that announcement, and you see their new colors, the nice gold and a deep red in there. Actually, it just hit me that it's almost reverse of what we've got penciled in there for the Florence colors on this draft board that we've got running. But yeah, I guess what are your thoughts on the Scott pick going to Rome?
Yeah. Right before we get there, do you want to announce the next pick just so we can get next team on the clock?
Sure thing.
If you're feeling hungry for some breakfast, the Dublin Dragons have cooked up some crispy bacon with this pick with the sixth pick in the second round, which now puts Rome back onto the clock. So yeah, with the Scott pick, looking just purely on overall, a bit lower out of the snipers. Somebody who was recently made, kind of near the end of the season. And as a sniper, it's kind of interesting to see how snipers who are centers kind of play early in their career versus later in their career. Sometimes, earlier in their career, they can end up on the wing, and use that kind of shooting advantage or shooting boost to their advantage. Whereas, a playmaking winger could end up as the center. So, it's definitely interesting to see them not go defenseman here. But, HHH kind of knows what he's doing over there. So you got to kind of trust in what he's doing. So, Evan, do you want to talk about the Bacon pick to Dublin?
Yeah, for sure. And on the topic, like you said, it's a little surprising to see them go forward in Rome, needing that defenseman. But looking again at the board and just how things are falling, it actually makes a lot of sense because Dublin was picking between their two picks, and Dublin needs a forward for their pro roster and doesn't pick again for a few picks. So kind of a safe pick here, something that I should have looked at a little more 2 seasons ago, like we talked about with that Jacksonville situation. And but Scott's a solid pick, somebody who's going to help Malmo in the minors for sure. And then Chris P. Bacon obviously has some ties to some family members in Dublin, or a family member, as we kind of talked about on the prospect showcase or draft showcase reveal show with Potty there in Dublin, and now he gets his cousin to join him. And let's maybe bring on Rose. Are you available to talk tonight? To maybe talk about the pick of Bacon and your thought there? Oh yeah, he is available. He just tagged me. Perfect.
Yeah,
Rose, do you
yeah. I
have a
mean,
couple?
every locker room needs some bacon pre-game, post-game, during the game. So this was an easy choice for us. Obviously, he's cousins with Potty, as mentioned before. We have a hole to fill on our depth lines for PK, and he joined mid-season, made up all his progressions. So he's an active guy. He's great. He's great to talk to, and he will definitely be called up pro Dragon, and we're excited to have him.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, Scribs, did you have any follow-ups for? I'm just dealing with a possible trade here. Did you want to follow up with Rose or even Potty on the selection there? Any questions for them?
Yeah, is Potty there to kind of talk about the pick and how he's feeling for it?
Yeah, I'm here. Hopefully you can hear me. Super excited for Crispy Bacon to join the Dublin organization. Like Rose put, you can enter a league and be behind and still catch up if you have the commitment and you have the right chemistry to, embrace the general audience. So we're really glad to have him. I think he's a great offensive player and he has strong defensive ties.
If I remember correctly from an episode of Rinkside, you had mentioned that he's from the Indianapolis location. You, I believe you're not too far from Indy, if I'm not mistaken. I think that means you're gonna have to come down here sometime and hang out with one Joey Rab, Crispy Bacon, and myself, if that's in the works.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I love bacon on my burgers. We could all, grab a bite. I'm actually headed up there in November, not for me to run a half marathon, but my girlfriend to run one. So, that would be a great time for us all to meet up and chop it up on the ice or off of it.
Fair enough. Hopefully she doesn't run too far away from you. Jokes, of course. Let's see. While we wait,
I've got something to break here actually.
oh,
Yeah, and I'll just mention I'll meet you guys down there for that. Just send me the dates. It's only about 16 hours from where I'm at. So, but we do have a trade to announce. It includes the on the clock pick. So, this trade is the 7th pick of the second round, so 23rd overall, is going to Florida from Rome. And in exchange, they're getting the 13th pick of the second round, which is number 29 overall, in addition to a season 7 second round pick. Yeah, so a trade there for Florida. I had to close the draft chat for a moment. It looks like we have a pick. Did you want to announce that one there, Squibs?
yeah. So with the 7th pick of the second round, Florida takes G.I. Joe Jarhead, defensive D man. I know Trev talked about for a while, improving his D. And, of course, Florida defense is kind of set for the moment. But, getting a defensive D man at this point in the draft, is a very solid play. And definitely somebody who, depending on his build and how he builds his player out, could be a very valuable piece for the Florida team here in the near future.
For sure, and we see Las Vegas on the clock here now with their first selection. If Doug is around to make that pick, but yeah, yeah, no, I know he's he mentioned earlier he might be tied up around this time, but we'll see if he can make that pick on time. Yeah, GI Joe Jarhead. It's a newer player. Probably like I think you mentioned one of the unaffiliated players, probably the first actually that was not playing in the minors last season to be drafted this draft. So that just goes to show the value of defensive defensemen. You don't necessarily have to be putting up the stats or putting in tons of progressions, and you're in a pretty good spot already. So Florida grabbing him at 23rd overall here to grab a defenseman for Vancouver and for maybe a future Florida roster spots is definitely huge for them. Let's maybe bring on, let's see, who do we got here to chat? Maybe let's go back over to Cushing if you're available. I don't know if we've had you on since the Xavier pick.
No.
No, yeah, I didn't think so. I wanted to get you on. Things kind of popped off after that. But what are your thoughts on grabbing Xavier Lingham or Ingham, however you want to say it, at number 17? And did those two defensemen maybe going before you kind of throw a wrench into things for you?
It delights me to be able to say that those two did not affect my pick.
Awesome.
I had mentioned that the person I had my eye on was ranked pretty low, and obviously McTavish was relatively high up. But he just didn't respond when I asked if he was interested. I reached out to him a couple days ago or a few days ago, and he never replied if he was interested or not. So even though I liked his build and I thought he absolutely had the talent to go at 14, um, I just didn't want to take that risk. But the bigger surprise to me was Jordan Ton, who did respond to me and told me he only wanted to go to Rome. So I was really surprised to see him drafted by a different team.
Yeah, that one caught me a little bit too. But when I talked to him, he did express a similar sentiment. But he did say he'll play anywhere, and it might just be one of those things where it's in the cards. He goes to Rome eventually, but yeah, he'll spend at least a season with the Norfolk organization unless they trade him, and he's a high value defenseman, so we'll see how he works out for them. I'm just looking at the mock here. It had Lingham going at number 41 for those
Yeah.
curious, all the way down to Las Vegas. So definitely a bit higher than mocked. I wonder if that has to do with just the fact that he was in the league last season and re-entered the draft, or what the situation there was. But a great player for Saskatoon, and definitely a nice pick for you guys down there in Melbourne.
We had him ranked fourth in terms of who is the most ready to play defense for us right now without getting destroyed.
Right.
And he was interested, had a decent conversation with him. So that helped. It's like you said, overall is a bit misty. We just
Misleading.
looked at total attributes and kind of very loosely weighted certain attributes that we felt were important for a defender and gave all the defensemen a score based on that. We did the same for forwards, of course. But
Yeah.
we went by that, and then for the defenders, I had time to reach out to them and see who was actually interested. For the forwards, I've already apologized to Tom Adamo. I just didn't have time to get to them.
Yeah, for sure. And that brings to mind a thought I was going to mention on the contacting players, but I'll bring that up in a moment here. We've actually got the next pick in, so we're going to head over to that. Las Vegas's pick is in. Did you want to maybe announce that over there, Squibs?
Yeah. So with the 8th pick in the second round, Las Vegas selects right defenseman Jerry Jackson with their pick. With that, San Diego is now on the clock. So Evan, you want to talk about the Jackson pick?
Yeah, this is another guy that was mocked fairly high. And we might have another trade coming in. More action than we saw all of last season. But yeah, this was a player that was mocked pretty high in offensive defense. Actually was mocked to myself in Turkey at number 12. Obviously, we went with a different style of defenseman at 12. But a very active player, another member of that Warsaw team. Obviously build and all that matters, but just for the sake of storyline and lore, I'll point out the fact that he played forward for most of the season for Warsaw. So if this were real life, you might have doubts about his ability to play defense, but obviously, it's a build thing. So I'm sure he'll fit right in nicely for Tokyo there as a Las Vegas affiliate. What are your thoughts here as I just sort out what this trade might be?
Yeah, no, I'm a really big fan of Jackson pick here by Vegas. For fairly obvious reasons, as Vegas and Florence shares the Tokyo Tigers. Kind of shoring up a little bit of that blue line coming into the draft. We had Twinkle Toes McGee as our only affiliated player between the two teams. That's on that defensive side. So getting Decky earlier for us, as well as then Jerry Jackson. Looking at his build, I mean, at 6'5", 240 pounds as an offensive D man, he really can pack a punch with a hit, and so, but also at the same time, carry some of those skills that an offensive D man carries, in comparison to a defensive D man, like we saw with Jarhead with the pick before. So, I'm excited to be able to help Vegas and Tokyo with Jackson and then the rest of their picks, as well as everybody that we have here. So I know Doug doesn't talk, so I won't ask him to come on board to talk about it. So
I do have that trade ready here now if we're ready for that.
All right, take it away, sir.
Yeah, so this is a trade that does impact the on the clock pick. And in fact includes 4 picks in this draft. So it'll take a second to update the board here, but the 9th pick of the second round, so the current on the clock pick, number 25 overall, as well as the 5th pick of the third round, which is number 37 overall, going from San Diego to the Dublin Dragons. And in exchange, San Diego will receive picks number 14 and 15 of the second round, which is 30 and 31 overall, respectively. So with that, the Dublin Dragons officially on the clock. I've got the draft room closed to sort out that trade. Have they made the pick yet there, Squibs?
It just came in the moment you said that. So with the 9th pick, the Dublin Dragons now select defensive demon Garrett Evans from the Atlantic Bucks. So if I'm not mistaken, he'll be returning to the Atlantic Bucks.
No, he'll be going to Warsaw.
Kind of ran myself into that little circle there. Realized that. So yes, going from Atlanta or the Atlantic Bucks over to Warsaw. I realized where the connection was with the Atlantic Bucks being made by current co-owner there in Dublin by Fulton Reed, I believe. Could also be wrong there. But hey, at this point, Redwater is now on the clock. Let's talk about the pick.
Yeah.
If you're available, talk about Garrett Evans.
Yeah, he yeah, you were who's going? Yeah, I'll talk for a second, then maybe we'll bring someone on. But yeah, you were right. The Bucks were designed by Fulton Reed, but and they are the San Diego affiliate. So if they had kept that pick, that would have been a Buck playing there. But Evans is a great defenseman there. Played for the Bucks last season. He's going to play for Warsaw and really, solidify that blue line for the Warlocks as they try to repeat. Let's maybe see if Rose is available if he wants to. Actually, sorry, we'll announce the pick and then we'll bring Rose on to talk about that trade and then the pick. So, with the 10th pick of the second round, 26th overall, Redwater selects Damian Chambers, left winger of the Saskatoon Farmers. Another player going back to Saskatoon, courtesy of Redwater. And that puts Jacksonville. Wait, hold up. We might have to sort something out here, but temporarily Jacksonville's on the clock. Rose, did you want to hop in here maybe and talk about that trade with San Diego and the pick that you made of Garrett Evans?
Yeah, so I mean, after we drafted Crispy Bacon, we definitely wanted to bring in a D affiliate for our team this upcoming season. Garrett Evans was someone that Potty and I both talked to. Really great guy. I mean, he messaged. We were talking a few weeks ago. We were talking today. So, when we had the opportunity to trade up with San Diego, I appreciate the negotiations being so easy, but we needed to lock in someone like Evans because, I mean, defensive D joined a little late, but good attitude, good player build. He'll be a dragon in the future, no doubt.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously Dublin's got a solid blue line there already, probably the best rated in the league at least. As well as a solid goaltender. Did that weigh into your thoughts? Like, is it kind of making a strength down the road, or
Yeah,
just kind of?
I mean, we all see the cap will affect teams eventually. This season we got very lucky. Well, we lost a few players, unfortunately. We were able to replace them and stay cap compliant. Next season will be tough, and it never hurts to develop for the future. A guy like Garrett Evans could easily slide into the lineup in a season or two if we ever need him. So it's I mean, he's also learning from the best too, right? We got 6 awesome D to help with progression recommendations, so he'll be well groomed for the Dragons soon.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I mentioned we might have had to sort something out. It's all good. It was a false alarm. And Jacksonville's pick has been submitted. Squibs, did you want to take it away?
Yeah, with the 11th pick, the Jacksonville Vipers select right winger Danny Dre. Evan, you want to talk a little bit about the pick here while San Diego gets back onto the clock?
For sure. Danny Dre, a relatively new player, I think. Obviously, a new name change. Trying to think. I think he might have played a little bit in the minors, maybe not. But yeah, definitely a late season addition to the league. Played in the draft showcase. Played fairly well there. I think he scored once or twice. And now we're seeing San Diego on the clock here for the first of 3 in the next 4. So it's going to be a busy tail end to the round here for Matt and San Diego after that trade with Dublin, and then we'll see Rome kind of sandwiched in the middle. Uh, in my opinion, that's probably where Rome will fill that defense hole. What do you think, Squibs?
Yeah, and I mean, as we said, or as you just said that, I would imagine, Matt, who has some pretty open availability on who he could possibly go with, if I'm not mistaken, might look here to grab another defenseman before he goes forward, just so that way, it's one less guy that he might, not risk losing. As we have already talked about, having picks back to back with another team in between can always present to be a challenge, especially when there's a couple options that you guys really like. So interested to see what he does here. But the floor is his as he gets ready for it. But yeah, I don't think he's actually available to jump on the call. So, Evan, if you're able to talk about it a little bit, do you want to talk about just kind of all the trades that we have seen, this off season as well as tonight's draft?
Yeah, I feel like the build up to the draft was a little bit quieter than previous seasons. We had a crazy trade deadline. Well, not the deadline itself, but the week leading up to it, the All-Star break was pretty hectic, as it took kind of one or two dominoes to fall, and then everybody was in on the action. And the build-up was a little bit slower this season compared to some other drafts in the past, where we saw a lot of trades leading up to the draft. And now we've kind of seen more now, I think, during the draft than we typically do. We've seen 3 or 4 already, and we're not even through the second round. Whereas I think in some previous drafts we've had 1 or 2 trades all draft long. So definitely going to be some stuff to sort through later with some future picks, but it's great to see that activity. And with that, the San Diego Reapers pick another very active member of the community, and that is Saskatoon farmer Matthew Benson. He's going to be joining the Atlantic Bucks as a Reapers affiliate, and that throws the Rome Gladiators on the clock. I think the first time we've said their name in full since the reveal a few picks ago. What are your thoughts on the Benson pick, Squibs? And I guess what direction Rome's going to go here, which I think might be pretty clear.
I think with the Benson pick, Benson was very high on our boards. Obviously, his activity was there as a playmaker, as a center. It's pretty well known that I'm a very big fan of playmaking centers, as most people probably are. So, Benson is a very solid pick. Matt runs a really good organization over there in San Diego. Getting guys who are very active and just kind of putting them in the same room together and letting them, just kind of grow together. And, if there's anything to know about young teams, teams that grow together have a tendency to stay together. So, Matt's definitely probably doing that with his affiliate program as well. So, very big fan of the pick. So, Evan, you want to break it down a little bit more?
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, the active teams that grow together, stay together, and they succeed. We're seeing some teams struggle a little bit with drawing in players and stuff like that, and we're trying to make changes to make that easier as a league. And we're still early in our life cycle, and I think it will improve over time as teams hit the cap and have to make other adjustments and stuff. But we've already seen teams that kind of focus on building that locker room, that positive locker room, really grow and develop into some dangerous competition. And that's going to be true for San Diego down the road. Obviously, with this pick of Benson, another active player, we're seeing it with Tennessee. They're making improvements. They still finished low in the standings, but I don't think anyone thought Tennessee was an easy opponent this season. And that goes to show that they are making improvements. And then obviously, you guys in Florence, really focusing on that locker room, have made some big strides. And then another big example is Jacksonville, who just went to the Cup final, the first non-original 6 team to do it. And that's a team that's drawn in very few free agents, if any, and it's been a very draft-centric, young draft and develop type of formula for them. So it can work. It just takes a little bit of time, and then hopefully the free agency spending becomes a little more team friendly, I guess, moving forward. But here we are with Rome's pick, and it is that defenseman we talked about. It is Lenny Lyons, going from the Iceland Ice, I believe, to Rome. He's going to get a pro opportunity, if I'm not mistaken. That is a open pro roster, but maybe the last or one of the last openings. What are your thoughts on the Lions pick, and then maybe what you think San Diego is going to do with the next couple here?
I mean, as much as I hate it, Rome Gladiators getting Lions into their defense, it's too perfect. The scene kind of writes itself. Having a lion jumping out, for the Gladiators, kind of an interesting twist on the lion going from attacking the gladiator way back in the day of the Coliseum. Lyons as a two-way defenseman, definitely looks like a very solid player with a solid build. 6'3", 235. Really has a little bit of height and weight that can pack a little punch for him. So as he builds his player, he'll hopefully work on both the offensive and defensive sides. But very solid pick, and hard to not write a little bit of that story. So, Evan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, like you said, it's a solid pick. It's somebody who, I had some conversations with before the draft, like, Cushing alluded to. how he talked to all the defensemen, didn't get around to the forwards. For me personally, previous drafts, I've reached out to every prospect, and just to get the feel, even if I didn't think I was going to pick them, send that message. And this time I limited myself to players that we thought we might have picked. Leon or Lions or Leons, however you want to say it, is on that list. And he told me straight up, I'd rather go to a spot where I have a chance to go pro right away. And I said, we can't offer that, and he understood that. He did say, if the pro thing doesn't come up, I'd be happy to play anywhere and get that future pro spot and grind it out. But I kind of wanted to respect those wishes and hope that he landed somewhere with a pro opportunity, and he did. So it's great to see him going to Rome. And with that, we have San Diego making 2 picks here. We've got a couple of defensemen. Defensive defenseman Cam Johnson, who has been active since joining the league just a couple of days ago as a defensive defenseman. So great to see. And then Robert Thump out of Warsaw, who was the only human player to actually play defense for the Warlocks in the playoffs, because they put their other defenders on forwards. So couple of defensemen there to stock the cupboards for San Diego. And I guess, what are your thoughts on those picks? And and then maybe if you want to bring on a guest or go another direction while I sort out my pick here. As
Yeah.
Turku's on the clock officially.
Yeah, take your time, Evan, of course. Looking at, what Matt has, kind of shocked that he went ahead and took a guy named Cam after our previous comments about only Cams going to Alaska. Regardless, Cam Johnson going to San Diego looks like a very solid pick. Should be a solid player. Definitely a solid build. Robert Thumb, I know that he's been very active, if I'm not mistaken. Very active in the bots and spam. For anybody that doesn't fully know, if you type in the exclamation mark and squibs in the Twitch chat, you'll see that you'll be able to read that one of my main areas that I hang out in is bots and spam. So go Pokemon. Thump, I know, like I said, has been there quite a bit. So yeah, 2 very solid picks back to back for San Diego. And while we wait for Turku, maybe we can get somebody from the Tennessee staff to jump on and talk about their locker room. I saw that was kind of a hot topic there in the Twitch chat not too long ago. So anybody from the Tennessee staff able to jump on and talk for a little bit?
Hey, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Hey, CGQ, I can hear you.
How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Loving this. I'm doing good. I'm loving this presentation so far. I love seeing the progress from last season to this season. It's looking so good.
Perfect. I mean, Dave, your owner over there has a thing or two with knowing how to work some graphics, so got to hand it to him. So yeah. Any thoughts on your owner then?
I guess I have to say he's a nice guy, huh? I have to keep my job, so.
I mean, if you want to get traded, I feel like there might be a team or two that would be interested in it. So, totally up to you how you address that question.
CGQ on the block.
On the block. Anyone want a 75 overall playmaker? I'm pretty good. I can pass really well.
But yeah, so CGQ, I want to talk about the Tennessee locker room and what you guys have built over there.
Yeah, so we've just been kind of building active players, everyone involved in the locker room. People who watch games and people who want to contribute and want ice time. We've kind of just been building a culture within our locker room, and it's starting to show dividends. We had, I think, 5 or 6 more wins than we had last season. We've had every game is tough. Like there's very few and far between any blowouts. I mean, we're still in a rebuilding phase, but the culture is what makes a team, and I think that we're starting to develop a really good one here.
Well, perfect. Happy to hear that. I guess, what do you think, for creating that kind of attractive or creating that fun locker room, how that can impact attracting free agents and outside players to join.
Honestly, I think if you have a good locker room and a good community, people just genuinely want to join you. Um, we're able to market ourselves. We're getting some big names. A couple seasons ago, we were able to attract Gunny over. Um, so we're able to show, hey, come to us. You get great minutes. You're scoring great. You're on the ice. And then when you're not on the ice, we have a great culture. We have, we're starting up with some different things within our chat, within our locker room, just getting everyone involved. We want, we like input, and we're here to listen to it. And being the coach, I'm always down to basically hear what everyone's saying. Like, oh, give me some more ice time. Why is this? What's that? Just we're here to answer people.
Perfect. Well, thank you for joining. I'm going to kick it over here to Evan shortly to announce his pick. Let's hope you don't get traded after tonight's interview. So, Evan, if you want to take it away. Thank you, CGQ.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we went with playmaking winger at the 32 overall. Playmaking winger Yusuf Ali of the Iceland Ice. And that puts the Melbourne Marauders on the clock. Yeah, Ali's somebody I had some pretty good conversations with. He's active in the locker room. You love to see it. So seeing him a lot in the minors chats and the Twitch streams and stuff like that. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the Ali pick as we give Dave a few seconds here to get the Melbourne stuff going? Melbourne's on the clock.
Yeah, maybe he, isn't exactly a boxer as a playmaker, but maybe he can, still move like a butterfly and sting like a bee a little bit. Maybe help out there in Malmo. Maybe learn a thing or two from Coach David Hume on how to move the puck around on the ice a little bit. So I think it's a really good pick for you guys. Definitely somebody who as you mentioned, was active and is active, and just kind of a very solid player. And obviously, I would assume that you guys are very happy over there. So, Evan, you want to announce this next pick?
Yeah, so it was somebody we talked about a little bit earlier as they were mocked, I think, to Redwater in the mock draft, and that is defenseman enforcer Yodi Logic going number 33 to the Melbourne Marauders. And with oh right, yeah, that's right. It's been a few months since we did one of these draft shows. I forgot that part. Next time maybe we should have those advanced meetings. I don't know, but all right, you should be able to try it now. There we are. Yodi Logic going 33 to Melbourne. Yeah, a great defenseman, great prospect there for the Marauders. Somebody that he's going to be a great player, I think, for the Whales in the minors next season, going over from Saskatoon to Vancouver as they met in the first round of the playoffs, and now, trading teams there as Boston's on the clock. What are your thoughts on the Logic pick there, Squibs?
Uh, I would say, it's probably a no-brainer on that pick. Um, you know, as we talked about earlier, Logic was definitely somebody who we thought could have gone. I think in the near the end of the third round or into the first round. Sorry, beginning of second round. So somebody who fell a little bit, but as we've talked about already, guys who fall sometimes have the biggest impact. And so, if I'm not mistaken, back to our very first inaugural draft, Amelia Rose fell pretty far, got traded from Las Vegas to Detroit, and then is now the owner and one of the better players, and I think won MVP that very first season. And Evan, I know
Yeah,
you can probably correct me on that. So, yeah,
yeah,
no,
yeah. Rose did win MVP in our season one. Was I think a fourth round pick at the time, back in our 6-team startup. Run MVP runner up that season, tooting our own horn a little bit, was Ren Lysander, who was a 10th round pick. Like we see late selections, come through and produce all the time, and the top picks aren't always, those stars that you expect them to be. So seeing guys taking this late, don't give up hope. There's a lot of talent in this draft class, and it's going to be good to see you guys succeed down the road. With that, let's get the Boston pick announced. That is playmaking center Ethan Viveros. And with that, he's coming over from Iceland, I believe. And with that, we'll put Tennessee on the clock for their first selection of the draft, as that was actually Boston's first selection of the draft. A little interesting to see some non-playoff teams getting in the action this late in the draft. What are your thoughts, Quips?
Yeah, looking at Boston last year in the draft, they made quite a few moves to trade up, and got some of the guys who are currently on their roster. And I've helped start up two different expansion squads there in Ottawa in season 2, and then Florence in season 3. And I think one of the biggest challenges is filling that pro roster and wanting to trade up to get guys who you want to be there in your locker room and on your squad. And you risk that fear of losing a guy just because if you don't trade up, he might not be there the next time you go around. So last season, Boston staff made quite a bit of moves, and looks like they traded away at least their first and second rounder of this season, and then I know that they've at least traded their first round for next season. So Boston has a bit of a way to go, but Reed over there's already seeming to do a great job and getting some very solid talent with Vivieros coming in. So I'm not gonna lie, it took me a couple of times reading that name to hopefully pronounce it correctly. So, Evan, I'll kick it back to you.
Yeah, we'll get we've got the Tennessee pick here. I'll throw that one up as well. That is left defenseman, two-way defenseman, Bud Skiun. I don't believe he played in the minors last season, but did play in the draft showcase. Been a pretty solid player so far in the showcase, and got some room to develop obviously as a new player. But Tennessee's all about that, taking those young players and developing and committing to it. So a nice pick here for Tennessee. What do you think there, Swift?
I'd have to agree. I unfortunately don't know a lot about Skion other than looking straight at the roster sheet, which anybody can look at. So as you mentioned, just kind of a lower overall guy. But sometimes you look back at the Calgary's inaugural draft, and their first overall player ever taken in our league, and their Calgary's third player ever selected in franchise history are no longer on the team. So I know that sometimes these guys who were taken earlier or who might be higher overall or such, sometimes leave, whether that's for personal reasons, starting up a new team or anything along those lines. So grabbing a guy who's younger, who might be a little lower overall, just kind of gives you the chance to build that player and just kind of have him there in your locker room for quite a few seasons before he's ready to make that jump. And when he is, is set to go. So Evan, back to you.
Yeah, for sure. To throw in that our first overall and third round picks aren't in the league anymore, or aren't on our team anymore anyway from that draft, and we don't have any first round picks left on our roster other than the ones we took last season. So definitely shows that even as a pretty good team, which I think we are, the high picks aren't always the ones that pan out for you. We've got Rome's pick here, picking somebody for Malmo Royals here as a affiliate forward, and it's Brian Nauman, the playmaking right winger out of Vancouver, I believe. Somebody who played great down the stretch, helped them clinch that playoff spot, clinch that top seed, and now he's moving over to Malmo as hopefully a very impactful player for them, and that puts the Dublin Dragons officially on the clock. What are your thoughts on the Nauman pick, and I guess which direction you would think Dublin might go here.
Yeah, so I mean, looking at Rome and what they've already selected, they're not afraid to kind of go, with those younger guys or lower overall guys. There's definitely players who are on the board who are higher overall who had solid impact last season on their minor league teams. Um, and so, definitely I'd say, a major part of, whatever's going on with, selecting some of these lower overall players, it's definitely, those conversations that those owners or GMs or scouts have with those players. And, maybe it's, a connection here and there or, something along those lines. I know with our team, Bo and Ray Bob Diddle are both obviously connected, but also, a guy like Michael Briston who is connected as well. And one of our goals is to make sure that those three never end up separated. So, um, there, that was something that we valued very highly was to pair friends together because if you pair friends together, they're going to either attract their other friends or they're going to just stay there and not leave. So. There's many reasons why, a lower overall player might be going over a higher overall player right now. And those higher overall players shouldn't, get upset or worried. Everybody will, get their name called at some point. And so, yeah, I would just recommend staying strong and, for those players who haven't been picked yet, and just know that this creates just a better storyline for your player. So, talking about Dublin, looking at last season, they had Potty there on their roster. They had Stig Magnus down in the minor leagues. So I wouldn't be surprised if they went with a power forward type of build with their next player.
Yeah, and you mentioned connections. Just really quick, I'll point out that the pick that Triple H just made as the new Rome owner is a player who played for Vancouver, which was the team he coached in the minors last season. Dublin's pick is in. Did you want to read that name off there? Switch?
Yeah. Wasn't looking at it when I said it, but Dublin Dragons select power forward Zach Lipinski from Warsaw. So sounds like he's heading right back to try to repeat it there, which now puts Norfolk on the clock. Evan, you want to talk about the Lipinski pick?
Yeah, and that's we talked about it a little bit on the draft showcase show, but that's another player. That's another player that we notice has a connection to Dublin. I believe it's Chewy's brother or somebody in Chewy's family there, and that's like you mentioned a minute ago. Connections mean a ton, and that has heavy impact on where players want to play, whether it's friends, family, just people that they know through other leagues, and those connections and those bonds that you build. So, yeah, that's definitely something to think about. And Chewy, did you want to maybe come on here, Rose, as after making that pick of a family member of yours?
Yeah, I had to draft him because he told all my parents if I didn't draft him, he'd be upset. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, he got into the league when he started watching some of the streams with me. He made a player, joined the league, was lucky enough to end up on Warsaw, and I mean he liked Potty as the coach. Obviously, being my brother, he likes being related in the organization somehow, and I think he'll be a good fit developing under Potty and Amirov, another power forward. So he'll learn from them. If he's inactive, I'll just call him on his cell phone, and then just give him shit. But it's good. I'm excited to have him, and hopefully he continues to enjoy the league.
Yeah, you joked that he'd tell on your parents if you didn't draft him, and maybe you can tell on your parents if he goes inactive for you guys there, and
Exactly. I'll
get him
call
in
my
line.
parents to tell him to progress.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. All right, we've got the Norfolk, um, the Norfolk pick is in, and then we've got a guest or two I want to get lined up here, but the Norfolk Navigators have selected playmaker Jason Breeze, and that's going to throw Albuquerque up on the clock. Um, So with that, yeah, let's maybe bring on CGQ to talk about a little bit about the. Speaking of connections, I was told that there might be a connection with your latest pick in Tennessee, and yeah, if you want to maybe talk about that selection.
Yeah, sure. So actually, if I'm understanding correctly from what Dave has told me, him and Bud actually know each other very well.
Well, I guess I'll jump in here.
Or yeah, Dave, you want to jump in? You're better at this.
I don't know, very well is a little bit of a stretch, but he's a friend of mine from the SFL. We're talking about getting in some other leagues together, but most importantly, he happens to live just down the road from me in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So he really wanted to come to Tennessee, and the fact that we know each other and we're friends, and he lives in the great state of Tennessee, good old Rocky Top. It was pretty much a no-brainer to bring him here. Like you mentioned, Evan, we develop players in Tennessee, so it didn't really matter that he hadn't been here for a while and only got to be in the showcase. We can develop him, especially since he's an affiliate. We have time with him. We don't need to rush anything. So that was you know, basically that was what was behind picking him up, why we did it, and it worked out perfect. And apparently, who was that was really upset about it? Was that Kamenov? Was that Kat that was really upset in the chat that we took him? So I guess we took him at the right spot, just in case. So I have a feeling this might have been their pick. They might have picked him right here. So good thing we got in there and we stole it.
Well, thanks, Dave. Speaking of Albuquerque's pick, they have selected
looking at him when we did. So.
Gray Rosie, a sniper from the Atlantic Bucks, which now puts Redwater on the clock. Evan, if you're available, do you want to talk about that Rosie pick?
Yeah, can you hear me all right now? My internet cut out for a sec there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, Rosie's a great pick. A scoring winger there, a little bit newer to the league as well, I think, but definitely got some time to develop, as Dave mentioned, as an affiliate. I do have another guest queued up here. I'm going to call on Triple H, Hunter Hurst Helmsley, the new owner of Glasgow, now the Rome Gladiators. Do you want to talk a little bit about, I guess, the decision to relocate to Rome specifically, and how you guys came up with the name over there?
Hey guys. To give a quick background on the relocation, we were looking through all the custom logos for an EA NHL. We couldn't really find anything that was that great. Unfortunately, they give you pretty limited options. So we just picked the one we liked the most, and then worked from that way out, because that's the only real limiting factor. Yeah, and we talked about it as a team. Everyone liked the idea and the mock-ups that me and a couple other friends did, and we decided that was where we wanted to go.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Obviously you and Florence had a bit of a battle down the stretch for that playoff spot that Albuquerque ended up winning out. I guess, what are your thoughts on, obviously that division rivalry that was existing, that playoff race, and then now, being in the same country as Florence?
I think it's going to be fun. I know we had some battles for some free agents, but they unfortunately won it this season. But we'll get them next time, and we'll see how we do along the stretch this season.
Yeah, for sure. Squibs, did you have any questions for your new in-country rival?
Yeah, Triple H, why Italy? Why Rome?
Well, as I was saying a little earlier, we had a very limiting logo-wise in regards to EA NHL. They don't really give you that many choices, so we worked on the logo, and then we worked our way back from there. It just seemed like the best fit for it, of course, Roman gladiators and the history from it. But yeah. Oh, I'm also a big Roman history buff, so that helped.
I feel like the two of us are going to have a lot to talk about then, as I'm a huge Florence history buff. So fun times. My Siri just went off, and I guess that means Evan. Any final thoughts for Triple H?
Yeah, that's it's always great to see the kind of the back story of picking a team. So appreciate you coming on here to kind of talk about the design and yeah, good luck next season and the rest of the way in this draft. I think you got another pick or two coming up as well.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. With that, we've got the Redwater selection. Did you want to announce that one there, Squibs?
Yeah, of course, giving me names that you imagine mess up. With the eighth pick in the third round, Redwater takes two-way defenseman Maxim Kovalchuk. Sorry if I totally mispronounced that, but yeah. So great pick there by Redwater. Evan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you pronounced it fine. Maxim Kovalchuk is how I would have said it. That's an active member of the community, which seems to be a trend. And it seems like we're saying that a lot deeper into the draft this time than we have in the past. I think each draft class gets a little bit kind of more involved in the minors, and that's good to see. And this is certainly a player that fits that build or that bill. And I think he's got some VHL experience as well, so somebody to um, yeah, who might stick around and really get into this league as he's proven for half a season or maybe more so far. Just really quickly while Vegas is on the clock, I wanted to bring on Kamenev once more as the Albuquerque owner just to talk about your I guess your draft class. Now that I believe you've made your final pick, what are your thoughts on the haul that you guys got tonight and your hopes moving forward?
Well, I got 3 of my 5 targets, which is always a good day. Unfortunately, Tennessee snagged the last one right before I could get to him. So
You're welcome.
yeah, you suck. But that's how it goes in this league. Matt was in my DMs earlier about the Tomeo Rose pick, so you know it's the way it goes. You just got to live and learn with it. Overall, I'm really happy. Couldn't be happier with this, and I think we got a pretty active group.
Yeah, that's it's definitely a solid group you guys have put together. Squibs, I think the Vegas pick is in. Did you want to announce that one?
Yeah, I mean, this player looks like he's going to pave the road from Vegas to Tokyo as Vegas selects Jack Pavement, an enforcer D-man, with the ninth pick. Evan, that means you're on the clock. So I'll talk a little bit about this Pavement pick then. Not a lot of defensemen left. I think that now leaves 3 defensemen left on the board. So pickings are getting a bit thinner for players, or for teams, I mean. So, talking with Doug and just looking, collectively at team needs for, what Tokyo was kind of needing for this upcoming season. Pavement kind of fit that role of, we know that we wanted 4 defensemen there. We feel very confident that, our defense will hopefully help us get back into the minor league playoffs. Tokyo, unfortunately, lost in the first round. But hey, there's always next season as Doug and I continue to build, the team together. That's something that, I'm not sure how many other teams look at and build with their co-team as they, try to help make the minor team as well as the minor players best that they can be. So talking about, minor teams and minor success, Potty, Leathers, or Rose, if one of you guys want to talk or jump on and kind of talk about just that, and if you had any conversations with Boston as well about any kind of thoughts or anything there for Warsaw.
Hey, it's Potty here. We're building up our roster as we speak with the picks that are coming in. I will say we don't have like full transparency here, but we do have full faith that the organization we're going to put together is going to bring back the cup to Warsaw next season. It's going to be a team effort, and it's going to be about building roots that sustain, maintaining retention of players in their minor league season, and building people up into a greater organization that will bring success to Warsaw.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Obviously, don't want to have you tip your hand too much on, making that road successful for the minor league players. But I guess, is there anything that you would love to share to the minor league players who haven't been selected yet?
I think that it's just about the experience that you find yourself in and what do you learn from it? How do you grow from it? It's not to say that your performance was one way or another and that's where you're at. It's all about the greater like fulfillment of your experience when you get to the pros. The best thing you can do in the minors is learn and grow. And so I wouldn't be, trepidatious or worried about when the next pick is going to be. It's about when is my time and how am I going to fulfill the journey ahead of me.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for jumping on here, and thank you for your words of inspiration for the next guys. Um, looking at, possibly the team needs, hoping that it is, up to date. Looks like Turku has 3 affiliate forwards and 1 affiliate D-man. Based on just what is remaining on the board, my assumption is Turku will probably look to go defenseman here. Based on overall, the board for defenseman is enforcer D-man Will Smith, Mario Bolt, who is also an enforcer, followed by Clyde Mayweather, who's a 2-way defenseman. Outside of that, definitely going then back to the forward section. And then just looking at that board, Jason, I'm very sorry when I say this, Lajnus, Lajus. Yeah, I totally know I'm mispronouncing it. And I know that you
Lajeunesse.
yeah, I knew that you sent it. I didn't have a chance to fully listen to it. So you're up there as one of the higher rated players left. Trey Martin, who was also in Tokyo this past season. And Davon Taquavion, also probably mispronouncing it. So apologies ahead of time. But Turku has quite a bit of options on the board, and the board looks still pretty nice at this point in the draft. So Turku, Evan, you have about 30 seconds left to submit this pick. While we wait, I see Evan's typing.
Yeah, I've been tearing between 2 players here back and forth for the last 4 minutes and 50 seconds. So we're just gonna have to submit the pick, and that is, I'll just read it out as I'm typing it, is Trey Martin, the sniper from Tokyo. We're gonna get Malmo another sniper. They've got a number of playmakers, and we're gonna bring them in a left wing sniper in Trey Martin. As I try to pivot over to the actual draft board, so you guys can see his name up there. But yeah, Trey Martin from Tokyo, coming over to Malmo. He's a player that I saw have a huge impact for Iceland, and then he got traded at the deadline over to Tokyo, courtesy of his pro team, and had an immediate impact for Tokyo. So he's an impactful player no matter where he goes. And yeah, with that, we've got the Florida Challengers on the board. What are your thoughts on the Trey Martin pick there, Squibs?
I'm not gonna lie, very very happy to see him get picked here. Very very disappointed that it went to Malmo. Um, definitely a great player for you guys' team. Only if there was a couple snipers on the pro roster that could teach him a thing or two. Ani Escola, David Hume, a couple of these other guys that maybe a Joshua Bolton, putting him there. Um, talking about not finding immediate success in the pros. Evan, you want to talk about Bolton's run from being a first rounder to not scoring for majority of the season?
Yeah, he was the first player we took last draft, Bolton, and he had a pretty good minor league season statistical wise, and a super active player, heading into the draft. So he was somebody high on our board, whether he had the stats or not. Somebody that we were definitely interested in, and at the time I was part of a basketball simulation league as well, and I actually played on a team that he owned. So there was that connection. and I knew him well, and I liked talking to him. So it was a pretty easy pick to take Bolton, whether he had the goals or not. And I stand by the pick, even if he didn't score as much as he would have liked. He did finish the season, I think, with 3 goals. He had quite the snipe for his first career goal late in the season, and then a kind of a weird fluky one for his second, and then yeah, he ended up with 3 in the season. Probably should have had one in the playoffs, but it went off a teammate's skates, so counted as an assist, not a goal. But yeah, like snipers sometimes take some time to develop. Their role really is score or bust a lot of times, so it's not really like they got to take time to develop, and scoring is hard to do in this league. So as a young sniper, if you're not scoring right away, don't take it too hard. You'll be fine, and the goals will come eventually. And even the top snipers in the league don't always score. And I used to be one of the top snipers in the league, and I had a pretty awful season, as Krieg likes to point out to me. I forgot how to score. So, but I found it a little bit in the World Cup. Hopefully, that's a sign for next season. But yeah, we have high hopes for a guy like Trey Martin. I'm surprised, to be honest, that he was available at number 42 with his pedigree. But yeah, I guess what are your thoughts on the direction you think Florida might go here with the 43rd overall pick?
Knowing Trev, he's probably still trying to figure that out himself at the moment. I see him typing, so that means he's probably getting a little closer to making that pick. I definitely could see him taking, one of those younger forwards here, trying to find his team needs at the moment. Yeah, it looks like actually my assumption is he'll actually probably go a defenseman if actually I'm not entirely sure how the team needs look for him. So but based on just what is available versus how the board looks completely, my assumption is he is going to go defenseman. And so I know they picked one earlier, if I remember correctly. So never mind.
And he proves you wrong.
With the next still the draft for the Florida Challengers, they'd select center Carl Johansson from the Iceland Ice, which now puts Tennessee on the clock. Evan, you want to talk about the Johansson pick?
Yeah, so Johansson is a weird I guess one to pronounce sometimes. He prefers Johansson. So Carl Johansson going to Florida, the two-way forward for Iceland. If you're just looking at overall, he's sorry, I gotta get this in the board here, but he's a little lower on the overall rankings, with 51, I believe it is. But as a two-way forward, that's not unheard of. In my opinion, their build starts probably a little bit too low. And so seeing those 51 overall as a two-way forward doesn't surprise me. It wouldn't deter me either if I was looking for a player like him in the draft. So definitely a nice pick for Florida. Great value this late for a guy like that, and yeah, should be a force for Florida down the road on their penalty kill and really in all situations as a two-way guy. What are your thoughts on the pick of Johansson here, Swift?
I know Trev kind of loves those players who aren't snipers, playmakers. You look at his own player, he's a power forward. You look at one of the most, I would say, underrated players in the league, with JJ McChuckles there as a grinder. But I would argue is probably one of the most important players on Florida's roster. Um, I'd say if there's any forward or any owner who would probably get some of the most out of a player who's especially a forward, I would say it's probably Trev. You look at the forwards throughout the league who he's had an impact on: Outlaw Owens, Leighton Lee, Henry, Bear, Beamer. The list just continues for Trev and that Florida team. So I feel like Johansson is in a great spot. So a lot of opportunity to grow and a lot of opportunity to learn. But if there's anywhere to go, I think Florida's the place to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, they don't I guess prioritize the snipers or the playmakers necessarily. They've got their fair share of them, but they like the players that fill certain roles like this guy does. And Yeah, Florida is a great organization. They've been to the Cup final a couple of times. They've been right on the doorstep a few more times. So definitely, if you're a prospect looking to learn something, Florida would be high on your list, I'm sure. Couple minutes left here on the Tennessee pick. Did you have any thoughts on where you think Tennessee's gonna to go here? As they've got, I think, 4 more picks left here in the draft, which is quite a bit considering we're this late here.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it now like 3 times in a row, or something pretty close to that. That three D men are left on the board. So you would assume that D man is the way to go. Assuming looking at their um, what they need and what's available, with just the abundance of forwards that are still on the board compared to defensemen. Um, but I've been wrong 2 picks in a row, so maybe third time's a charm. But Tennessee is going to go and do what Tennessee's going to do, and they're going to be successful at it either way. So my assumption is that they're probably going to grab one of those guys who they're connected with or who has a great activity. If there's anything that I know, Dave Access seems to be connected to everybody. And so definitely one of those teams that could go really in any direction. And so I'm going to put my foot back in the ground and say it's going to be a defenseman. And maybe third time's a charm, but if not, I'll strike out with this third pitch in a row. Evan, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, like you said, the defense talent is starting to dry up a little bit. There's a number of different ways they could go here. Yeah, defense makes sense for the I guess the depth of the pool here, but there's some good forwards still on the board as well. Just flipping to see what this pick was mocked out as. It was Sergei Kovalev, playmaker from Malmo, who I believe is still on the board as well. So that could be a direction they look at going. They've got 40 seconds left here. They're starting to seem a little bit like myself and Turku, kind of scrambling to the last minute, deciding on who to pick. And yeah, we'll see what direction they go. In the meantime, oh, there it is. They went forward with the sniper Daniel Ackers, left winger from Iceland. What are your thoughts on the Ackers pick, and then I guess which direction you think Alaska's going now that I don't believe there's any cams left in the draft?
I'm not gonna lie. Cam was the thing that I was looking for on the available list of what was left to see if that was going to be Alaska's pick or not. If I'm not mistaken, I believe defenseman Mario Bolt spent some time there with Alaska before. So as we've seen already, sometimes in this draft, going back to the well of guys that you've already had or guys who have been on your affiliate but were unaffiliated, it's definitely something that we've seen already and could be the way that they go. But knowing Creek, he could go in any direction. But looking at this Ackers pick itself, another sniper, a player who joined part of the way through the season, somebody who I believe will be beneficial for that minors team there for Tennessee. Evan, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, he's a guy that's scored a fair amount for Iceland, and he's heading right back to his I guess alma mater there in Iceland. We're actually going to bring in Biff Markham if you're available to talk. Did you want to maybe weigh in on this pick of Daniel Ackers heading back to the ice?
Sure. Yeah. We really like what we see with him, especially with like his wrist accuracy and for how long he's been in the league and stuff. So I think he's going to be a very strong scorer in the future. And he was active in the ice locker room, and so that was a big plus as well.
Yeah, and I guess kind of on that topic, obviously in Tennessee, you guys talked about it a few times earlier tonight about building that locker room and developing those prospects, and obviously as as a member of the Black Bears staff, you have access to the ice on ice locker room. So I guess how much does that weigh into your draft process? Being able to see these guys communicate all season long, whereas you don't necessarily get to see that with other teams' affiliates.
It can be the deciding factor when you're weighing two players. It really can be. You know, you see somebody that's active in the locker room, and it's hard to pass that guy up. There was another player on ice that was Ali that we were really high on as well, for the exact same thing.
Yeah, and that's yeah, like I said, that's definitely a big role. Obviously, Squibs has some experience in Tokyo with kind of a similar thing, being really involved with the affiliates of players there. Squibs, did you have any sort of thoughts for Biff here, or any questions for him?
Not at this time. Thank you, Biff, for jumping on.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Evan, if you're ready, I don't mean to smack you around for this next pick, but if anybody is unsure of where this is heading, San Diego, Matt, you might want to watch out. Hope you guys don't get too rocked over there. Alaska has selected Will Smith with his very hard hitting ability with the 13th pick in this third round, which now puts Vegas on the clock. Evan, you want to talk about this hard hitting defenseman?
Yeah, so like Will Smith is somebody who, he's been active in the league. He was part of the last affiliate draft. He chose to go into the chose to go back into the draft, see if he could get picked, I guess, elsewhere. Now he's going to be joining Manitoba as a member of the Alaska affiliates. And I got to say, yeah, your puns with the slap thing. I think you made the logic pun earlier, and the Jack Pavement one as well. You're really on fire with these dad jokes here tonight. But yeah, I guess what are your thoughts on them bringing in a Will Smith, who I think, if I'm not mistaken, actually spent some time with Tokyo last season.
He did spend some time in Tokyo. He spent some time with San Diego before that, even. Doug traded for him part of the way through. I believe one of his D-men were presented a pro opportunity, if I'm not mistaken. Or actually, no, one of my D-men I traded away over to Cleveland, which meant Twinkle Toes McGee got traded to me, which left the opening there for Doug to be able to make that trade to bring Smith in. If there's one team in this league who is known for their hitting, that is Alaska. If you just look at it, they this past season, I mean, they had some of the best hitters in the league and led the league in quite a few or with quite a few of the hitters. So definitely Krieg is looking like he's already implementing that at the minor level too. So, very, very solid pick for them. And if and when Will Smith makes the jump to the pros, he's going to fit right into Krieg's current plans.
Yeah, and like Krieg mentioned earlier, they're a team that might be up against the cap and might have to make some changes down the road. But Will Smith would be somebody who could definitely fill in at that point as well. With Vegas on the clock for 2 minutes and 50 seconds still. Just looking at the mock draft here, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first pick of the fourth round. As you guys will start to see the rounds start to get shorter as these last rounds 3 to 7 are added based on I guess open spots. So this pick would be Judah Dorgan if we're following the McRoss mock, which obviously a number of those picks have been wrong tonight. But Dorgan is still on the board, I believe. And, yeah, I guess what are your thoughts on the possibility of that coming true, or just other directions you might see Vegas going?
So, looking at, the centers, Judah Dorgan was spent a little bit of time here in Tokyo this past season. I think maybe for like 3 games, if that. maybe it was just even 3 days. Regardless, Dorgan came in, Doug threw a trade, and Doug also sent Dorgan out through a trade in a very quick span of time. Last season there in Tokyo on Las Vegas's side, there was a lot of movement, which made things a little challenging, with the coaching staff to try to help them piece everything back together, after the deadline, because both Florence and Vegas was very active in trades. And for the most part, we kept or tried to keep the Tigers together as much as we could, which leads to my assumption that seeing, Jason, sorry, Jason, I'm not going to pronounce your last name again. Still available on the board, with a very high chance to come back to Tokyo is my assumption. So, somebody who finished the season there in Tokyo last year, somebody who I think would come back. There was a couple other forwards who I know that are available who are very active that I can only assume Doug was high on. But yeah, my assumption, like I said, is that it's going back to Jason with him coming back to Vegas and Tokyo. Evan?
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I'm just sorting through some stuff here, checking some numbers out. Yeah, Vegas can go any number of directions here. Lejeunesse, yeah, actually the pick is in. It is Jason Lejeunesse Jr., the playmaker. Sorry, I don't know if you said that. Like I said, I was a little distracted there for a moment, but Jason Lejeunesse Jr. going to Vegas, back to Tokyo, and Boston is on the clock. Let's see. Do we have anyone here to talk about it? Maybe Fletcher Reed. I think you were available, or I think you were involved a little bit with the Tokyo Tigers. What are your thoughts on the pick of Lajeunesse and seeing him back in Tokyo as a Vegas affiliate?
Man, Evan said I'm gonna call on the guy who is on the clock to talk about this.
Oh shit! In my head, he's still on Florence for some reason. He
Yeah,
is the
great
Boston
timing.
owner. You're right. My bad. You know, take your time. We'll call on you in a
It's all
minute
good.
to.
It's all good.
So, Reed, if you want to talk about Jason's pick, or Vegas's pick of Jason here, and then whenever you're ready to announce your pick, you can feel free to announce that as well. But yeah, if you want to talk about Jason's pick, or Vegas's pick of Jason, go ahead.
Actually, I was torn. I was torn between the pick I did make and the pick that went just before mine. So,
Yeah. Any thoughts then on Jason then as a player? I know that you were his teammate there for a while, and I know that you were on the same line as him as a couple of times. But just any general thoughts?
yeah, his build's really good for puck moving, setting up plays. So,
Perfect. I mean, I know you know a thing or two about that as a playmaker yourself. So, since taking over Boston, you've been making a lot of plays off the ice and in the locker room. So, you want to make this next play?
so we selected Mayweather on defense.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you. With that, then I'll put Tennessee on the clock. Dave and Co. I'll let you guys figure that out. So looking here at Clyde Mayweather, 2'8" defenseman, who's 6'3", 203 pounds. Joined in week 6 this past season. I know Evan's around. He could talk about a little bit more about Clyde's history there in the minors. Otherwise, that unfortunately is above my pay grade. So, Evan, if you're available, you can jump on and talk about it. Otherwise, I'll bring one of our guests back on.
Yeah, sorry I had to hop off there. Just had some numbers to crunch. As we get later into this draft, there's a lot of stuff to figure out, making sure the teams are sticking to the affiliate limits by position and things like that. So just had to take care of some of that, but all is good. Yeah, Clyde Mayweather, he was the other player I mentioned when we took Trey Martin. It was between Mayweather and Martin. We were trying to decide if we wanted to go sniper, wanted to go defenseman, and flip back and forth. Kind of pulled the staff. Obviously on short notice, you don't get a ton of responses all the time if they're busy or whatever. But didn't really get a set I guess, final decision. So that's why it took down to the last few seconds. But yeah, Clyde Mayweather, phenomenal player from Elmo last season. Seeing him fall to 47 feels like a really late pick for him. Same with Jason Lajeunesse Jr., another player who, he's been around for a bit, so, you'd think would go earlier, but Vegas getting the steal there. And now with Tennessee on the clock, as they sort things out, I think they still have the flexibility to go forward or defenseman, unless they've taken two defensemen earlier in this draft. I think they only have one. So it'll be interesting to see which way they go. What are you expecting to see here as we see? I think they're typing at the moment. What are you thinking, Swift? Tennessee's pick.
I gotta assume that they're going to go, somebody that maybe they don't know, a ton, or maybe they do a little bit, but somebody who's probably very active. I know Logan. Yeah, I probably shouldn't even try to pronounce that last name, but Gruel. Evan, I know
Gru.
you can probably say it.
I
As
think
well.
it's Gru.
Okay, and Kenny Cage, definitely your two guys. I could definitely see them going with here. Um, you know, Dave, like we've talked about already, has a ton of connections, and so knows a lot of guys, and highly values that activity level, as CGQ has talked about already. So, um, guys who appear active in the chat and in locker rooms are definitely guys that most teams are interested in or attracted to. But I'd say Tennessee has kind of an upper hand on grabbing those kind of players.
Yeah, and as I was just getting caught up on some other messages that came in while I was doing that number crunching, and Doug sent me in all caps, in quotation marks, quoting Trev's famous line, "Steal of the draft" with the Jason Lajeunesse Jr. selection. So, and I think it's hard to disagree there. He's definitely one of the steals of the draft here. A very solid player to get in the fourth round of any draft, and as deep as this class is, it still feels late for him. So, and like I said, in the second round or even in the third round, I forget when it was, but I expected we'd be saying that kind of all night, that it felt late for these guys, and that's just the nature of this draft class. It's kind of a shame that we don't have more space in the pros for these guys to play right away and have a pro impact, but they're gonna have. It's going to be the best minor season we've seen so far with the talent that we're seeing come off the board here.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's a lot of these guys who you look at, and they definitely have the talent to be in the pros. But you talk to some of the guys who re-signed as affiliates this season, who you could argue that deserve a pro spot. And they're happy playing in the minors. They're getting top six ice time. And being able to have a large impact where a lot of pro teams aren't able to fully offer top six, maybe even top nine guaranteed ice time to some of these rookies. So this next rookie class is going to be interesting to say the least. But yeah, I think it'll be very solid. Evan, do you want to announce the Tennessee pick?
Absolutely, it is a young player by the name of Billy Gavin. He's a center sniper. Played for the Vancouver Whales. Obviously, they had quite the season, clinching first overall in the minor standings in the regular season. Fell short in the playoffs, but anytime your team finishes first, every player has to play a role on that team here. And he's another guy that's feels like it's a little late for him. It's a loaded draft class, like I said, but definitely somebody I would expect the next few teams we're looking at grabbing here. What are your thoughts on the Billy Gavin selection?
I would say it's a very solid pick for him. You know, Looking at the forwards, still a good amount of snipers on the board, but slowly drying up. Um, and looking at who was there and who's been here, kind of the longest. Gavin, actually, never mind. I saw that he is about the same time as a lot of the other guys that are still available on the board. Um, joining at the same time roughly. So, I think that's one of the hardest thing is separating, guys who join at the same time roughly, or guys who are very similar in overall, and then making that decision on which direction you go. Just because you might want two guys but only have an option for one. So um, definitely one of the hardest things I would say about helping lead a team and being a team owner, is making those very difficult decisions. So Evan, you've been a team owner longer than I have. Any thoughts on just kind of that and having to make those very difficult decisions?
Yeah, like anytime you're making a draft pick, you usually got a few guys on your list, and you try to find guys that you like, in case your target goes before your pick, and you start to get attached to maybe too many guys, and have to make that decision to let one or two of them go. So it's definitely difficult to come to, and I think we're going to see it on an even bigger scale which we've already seen a little bit of, but when the cap really starts taking effect, and teams are really in a tough position having to make adjustments. I think we're gonna have to see those really difficult decisions to tell a guy, like, we love you, we love what you've done for the team for so long, but you're kind of, we can't afford you anymore, and send them on their way. So it's gonna be tough to make those decisions, and drafting players and signing players is always tough. But you just hope that you make the best picks and the best signings you can for your roster, and you do what you can. So, and with that, we've got Rome's selection here. It is left winger Grinder. The Dutch name. My wife is Dutch. She's gonna kill me if I mispronounce this one. It is Jerry Hoekstra. We'll see. We'll see. We'll have to send that clip to her family and see how I did. But Jerry Hoekstra, the left wing grinder, going to Rome. He's going to be joining Malmo as a minor league player. A guy that I had a decent conversation with. I have to say, like I said, I reached out to a number of prospects we were interested in, and a lot of them say yes, I'm interested, and kind of move on from there. But this guy actually, he had a lot of follow-up questions for me. We had a lot of conversations, so definitely a nice pick, as we see the Reapers coming up on the clock. Another look at that very nice graphic that those gentlemen created that we talked about. Maybe while we give San Diego a moment here, Rose, is he still in the chat? He is. Rose, are you available to come on and maybe talk about I guess the work that goes on behind the scenes with these graphics? I know you were involved to an extent in creating some of these, and I guess what goes into them.
Sorry, you cut out there just for me at the end. Could you just repeat that for me?
Yeah, for sure. I was just gonna say if you maybe wanted to touch on, I guess, what goes into like the graphics that we're seeing on this production. I know you kind of had a role on some of them, so um, I guess uh, I guess what goes on behind the scenes when we're putting together these beautiful things that we're seeing.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I'm pretty new to like doing graphic stuff. I just recently downloaded like an application. So I was just playing around with it one day. Some teams liked the logos that I did, so Dave Axis reached out, asked if I was willing to do them for the draft, and I mean, like I said, I'm new to it, so it was a learning experience. It was fun doing some of them. Some of them are tough because I wanted to get like good ideas in for all of them. So some of them I'm really happy with. Some I may work on again. But it's it was fun. It was relaxing to do, and I hope I could take on some more fun projects with graphics because that was fun. I know Earl Flint does a lot of the game day graphics and the banners, which he's come in clutch with for a lot of the Google Sheets and a lot of our production. So yeah, if anyone else wants to join graphics, we have a lot of spots open too. So if anyone wants to try their hand at it, reach out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and on that note, whether it's graphics or other spots like Stat Century or whatever, the league's always looking for people. So if you want to get involved, there's definitely avenues in a number of ways. But yeah, the graphics that we're seeing on this show are incredible. So thanks for all the work you and the rest of the graphics people put in. And thinking back to the first drafts we had, I think the season 2 entry draft was our first true live draft. The first one was kind of done behind closed doors. But the season 2 draft was our first live one, but it was just a a spreadsheet on a guy's computer being broadcast through OBS, and now we're seeing all this fancy stuff that's the graphics team puts together and that Dave puts together behind the scenes. So a huge help. Um, we do have the San Diego pick here. It is right winger playmaker Logan Grew. I believe this is a player that was in the league for a bit during the season, ended up leaving for a bit, came back, changed the name, but kept their current build. I believe it was Chris Wakabayashi before, one of my favorite last names to say in the league. But Logan Grew going to San Diego. What are your thoughts there, Scripps?
Well, I remember when he left, I jokingly made the comment that you would force me to make the pronunciation during the draft show. Interestingly enough, he chose the last name that I also didn't know how to say, but this time I at least went for it. So still failed. That stuff doesn't change. Regardless, a huge fan of the pick. Definitely somebody who, you know, was that I know a guy who was on our boards, but picking in the first round for both of our picks and only having 2 spots available. We just had guys that were unfortunately higher higher overall as well, and so we kind of led that direction. But yeah, Logan's definitely a very solid pick and very solid pick for a guy in the 4th round, especially. So, um, as we wait, Evan, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I liked him a lot when he was in the league before. Somebody who really produced in at the minor league level, and I think that he'll be looking to kind of pick that back up. A little bit off topic. Spoiler alert for the World Juniors. If you don't want to hear an update, mute the mic or mute this for a second. But Canada just won in overtime over Finland. They are the gold medal champions. I actually have a Canada shirt on underneath this that you can't see, but yeah, Team Canada takes home the World Juniors gold. So congratulations to them. All right, we've got Norfolk's 4th round selection in 51st overall. Squibs, did you want to make that announcement?
Yeah, so with the Norfolk pick, they select left defenseman Mario Bolt, who is an enforcer. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that takes up, yes, that is all of the defensemen that were available in this draft. Evan, you want to kind of talk about the I guess availability of defensemen, and now that they've already ran out, how it's just going to be forwards from here on out?
Yeah, that's something that we've always seen as a league. Everybody likes to score goals. Or if you like to stop them, typically you choose the goaltenders. Goalies, there's not a whole lot of openings typically, but um, we do typically have a waiting list for that. But other than that, you got the forwards who like to score goals or set them up or win the faceoffs or whatever their goal is. Whereas defensemen, because of EA, don't get a whole lot of statistical recognition. So it's definitely a less glamorous position to play. So it does make sense that we see them a little bit less. Obviously, this time they ran out pretty quick in the draft. I mean, we're getting later in the draft here, but there's still 15 picks or so, 12 to 15 left. So definitely a position that if you need it, you got to fill it quick because if you wait on it, you might get burned. And I know early, we kind of joked about it that early on there was that belief by 1 or 2 members that Turku/Calgary hated defense and didn't care about it and stuff like that. And I remember early on there was a time where we needed a defenseman, and we figured, you know what, we're going to get one because there's enough in the draft. So we're going to just reinforce our forward core, and then we did that. Um, and then took a defenseman later, but it wasn't as good as the one we could have gotten, and I think really saw that impact us down the stretch that season. And it's a position that you can wait on if there's a lot that you like, but it's not you want to wait on um, for too long because, like seen here, it is a rare position. Squibs, the 4th round pick from Florida is in. Did you want to take a stab at that name, or you want me to take it?
Well, if you say it wrong, then it's definitely not right. So that means that I need to say it wrong so you can correct me. So with the 7th pick of the 4th round, the Florida Challengers select Davon Quavion, 2A forward from Vancouver. Evan, you want to talk about Davon Quavion and how I either totally said that right or totally butchered it?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. That's pretty much how I've been saying it all season long in the times that I did commentate the minors. Davon Quavion, of the Vancouver Whales, heading back to Vancouver as a member of the Florida Challengers organization now, as we see Alaska's fancy graphic as they go on the clock here with the final pick of the 4th round. As I mentioned, the rounds do get shorter here later as teams start to kind of fill out. Yeah, Taquavion, it's another player that, if you had asked me before the draft, where's he going, I would have probably guessed earlier than this. But, it is such a talented draft class that it doesn't surprise me so much to see him fall. But, I probably would have thought he'd go a little bit earlier than this, especially like the mock him at 26. He goes 52. So exactly double what the mock had him at. Um, so, yeah, it's a great value there for Florida. One pick away from another great player falling into the lap of Alaska. But I'm sure whoever they pick here is going to be an impactful one as well. So, what are your thoughts, I guess, on the selection of Taquavion? He's another 2A forward. I think that's the second one the Florida's taken this time. And it's an archetype that we're starting to see more people choose, whereas they didn't choose it so much in the early seasons.
Yeah, I would say part of that, is you look at the pro rosters and you see a lot of snipers, you see a lot of playmakers, especially guys who have been there for a while. So breaking into being a top 6 scorer, top 6 playmaker is going to be a bit of a challenge. So if you're gonna want to make that jump to the pros, you could build more of that defensive forward that teams are starting to kind of turn towards more. You look at Alu over there in Alaska, more of a defensive forward who, if I'm not mistaken, might have led the entire league in hits, but I know led the forwards for hits. So, you look at a guy like Solberg over there in Rome now. So, um, guys who, are able to kind of play lower in the lines, but have, I would say, just as an impact, if not a bigger impact than some of the scorers up front. So, there's definitely, a lot of strategy that goes into setting lines, but also strats themselves with who have. So, selecting a 2A forward, for Florida and just kind of seeing the kind of trend of 2A forwards as well as defensive forwards kind of grow. I think that plays a major role in it as the supply and demand of what's possibly available at the pro level.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's definitely something I've started to notice. I remember when we grabbed Jerome McGinley in the 2nd round. Jerome McGinley. He was one of the few 2-way forwards I remember seeing in the league at the time. I don't know how many there were, but there wasn't a ton. And now I feel like this draft class has a bunch of them, but I don't know. That could just be perception. But Alaska's pick is in. It is the final pick of the 4th round, just the 8th pick of the 4th round before we move into round 5 with Melbourne on the clock. But it is centerman Stepan Bandera. He played for Malmo, for a little bit during the season. What are your thoughts on the pick of Bandera, and then what you think Melbourne is going to do?
I would say if you were the smallest possible player in the league, being on Alaska is definitely better than being against Alaska. At 5 foot 729 pounds, Bandera is is tied for the smallest player in the league. Their playmaking center, so definitely somebody who's probably going to take some face-offs, kind of set up those plays. But if you have a team full of hitters around you, you need probably some small, fast guys who can kind of get in and get some of that, pretty finesse work in while all the big guys do the dirty work for you. So very solid pick by Krieg there in Alaska for their minor team. So, while we wait for the upcoming pick and discussion around that, Krieg, do you want to jump in and talk about your last few picks?
Yeah, I can jump in. So obviously, I picked Will Smith because I'm a big Britain team, and he likes to hit people.
Yep.
And then I picked Stepan because I figured we're the best team to protect him. So nice, easy choices there. Already fast, playmaker build, so already got at least 75 in face-offs to help us out, and trying to get Manitoba that Miners Cup.
Do you
And
think
as you
there's
said,
a
as you guys
possibility
were
that
no,
Manitoba and Alaska win in the same year?
we can try it. We're definitely going to try it. As you were talking about before about teams and other pro teams trying to help out their affiliates, we definitely had some talks with Honolulu to get that team as best as we could get it.
So, Krieg, with some changes there from Cleveland to Honolulu, how is it with team owner living in the same house as you?
A lot of questions get asked. No, but I'm helping Heather out as best I can. She's still grasping everything, and her and Dynasty should do good things over there.
Well, thank you. Evan, do you have any thoughts or questions there for Commish Krieg?
Yeah, like you mentioned, a lot of questions being asked with the owner living in the same house. My wife is a coach at the World Cup, so not as involved as a team owner, but still, had some questions and getting involved in the league. So that's always good to see. Yeah, I guess what are your thoughts, Krieg, on how the draft as a whole is unfolding for the league, and then I guess how your draft class in general is looking as you guys have one pick remaining.
So I'm not a big person that reaches out to a lot of prospects. I got a lot of other stuff going on. Not a lot of people on my team really reach out. So I go day by day, and if I'm gonna pick you, I usually message you about 2 minutes before I pick you. If you get that notice. But I like how my draft board has played out, and the draft as a whole has been amazing. You two doing a great job again, even though you had a little bit more hiccups this time than last time. But the production's always great. Dave Rose coming in clutch with some graphics, Dave's production. So, I mean, it gets better every year. So, who knows what next draft is going to bring.
Yeah, every season, like that first one Dave did, I was like, oh, this is phenomenal. Season 4 draft, I was like, just do the same thing, but somehow he upped himself. And then this time, he just continues to improve on the production, and it's baffling because you don't think he can get better than what he did the previous season, but Dave pulled the rabbit out of the hat every time. So huge shout out there.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. With Melbourne on the clock here, I guess Squibs or even Craig, if you want to weigh in, did you have any thoughts on what direction you think the Marauders are going here with the first pick of the 5th round?
Well, go ahead, Squibs, if you want to take it.
I was saying I'll let you have it. I've been wrong so many times at this point. If I projected, I would only be wrong again. So all you, Krieg.
Well, there's no more defense, so you can't get that wrong. Definitely have to go forward. I'm guessing. My guess would be Sergey Kovalev. That's my guess.
All right, so while we've got Krieg on here, the NFL does a whole lot of the commissioner making most of the pick announcements, and a pick came in here while we were talking to you. So if you have the draft chat open, do you want to take the honors of announcing the first pick of the 5th round, Mr. Commissioner?
I'll take it in 1 second, right when I open it. All right. The first round of the 5th. The first pick of the 5th round, see, there you go, is King Maximus, two-way forward. It's hard to talk these days. That's why my face isn't up there talking, and you guys are.
Yeah, I know it. I think it happens to the best of us, but yeah, there it is. King Maximus going to Melbourne. He's a two-way forward, as you mentioned. Another one of those, a very common build it seems in this draft class. But yeah, definitely a nice pick there for Melbourne. He played for Atlantic for a little while. Squibs, what are your thoughts on the pick of Maximus?
I would say that Melbourne is maximizing their picks this draft. Um, I'm probably not going to get invited back for this draft. But hey, sometimes the opportunities are too good to pass up. So no, I'm a fan of the pick. We've talked a lot about two-way forwards and defensive forwards this draft. Um, and King Maximus already has some. He's been here since week 2, so he has a good amount of progression already under his player. And as we've stated, two-way forwards start out lower than a lot of other players. So still climb, but as that climb happens, it only makes the player better in the long run. So, Evan, back to you.
Yeah, with oh, that's kind of funny, but with Maximus, when I was we did the customization stream with Triple H to set up the new Rome team design. So some people might have seen it on Twitch before the official announcement, but when I was on that voice call with him, he told me he wanted his mascot to be named, I believe it was Maximus. And so I told him, I was like, there's a guy King Maximus in the draft class. You gotta pick him. And Rome's done picking for the night. They didn't take him, but that would have been perfect. But he'll be a nice fit, I think, for Melbourne and the Wales affiliate squad. I think between them and Vancouver, that's 3 or 4 two-way forwards now taken. So the Wales are going to have some solid penalty killers, I think. But speaking of names and connections to the picks here, the Boston War Unicorns have selected a sniper by the name of Boston Dobbs. So yeah, Boston going to play in Boston as a young sniper here. I think he's coming over from the Warlocks. What are your thoughts here on the Boston War Unicorns pick here, Squibs?
Well, as much as a New York Yankees fan I am, and as much as I hate Boston, um, unfortunately, I can't hate a player specifically on his name, and I can't fully hate the Boston War Unicorns. One, the pink is phenomenal. The uniforms, are pretty awesome. Reed is I'd say a pretty solid guy. Not that I, coached him up this past season, not or anything, but I'd say it's a fantastic pick for Reed, for Boston, the team, and for Boston, the player. Um, that's only going to get confusing here in a few years when he makes the pros, and then you're having to, make sure that you're saying Dobbs all the time and not Boston. Uh, so, Evan, what are your thoughts on the Boston pick?
Yeah, yeah, like you said, you'll have to say Dobbs when you're commentating because it'll have a double meaning otherwise. But yeah, like I said, he's a young sniper. He's got that scoring touch. I think he scored once or twice in the draft showcase. I think he scored in the playoffs for Warsaw as well. Coming off that championship, you're gonna have that pedigree to go with you for sure. Um, yeah, like snipers are always good to add because I mean in hockey you can never have enough goals, and maybe that goes more towards my old apparently of hating defense kind of direction, but you score more goals, you win. It's that simple, and I think adding a sniper here for Boston and having him go back to Warsaw to try to repeat as Cup champions is going to be a huge opportunity for him. Do you have any thoughts on which direction Tennessee might go?
Um, I mean, I have thoughts. They're going to be wrong, but I have thoughts nonetheless. Um, if I'm looking at the board, just kind of seeing what's out there, um, I feel like a guy like Kenny Cage might be a popular pick here. Jafari Blackwood maybe as well. Um, a guy like Ian Baker as an enforcer or Judy Dorgan as that two-way forward. a very wide selection of players available based on their build or their builds. Playmakers, enforcers, two ways, snipers. I'd say that's a majority of what's left based on a quick look through. So at this point, a lot of these guys, are either newer to the league, or maybe not as active. But getting selected here is, still a chance to only build, upon that. And no reason, for a guy to be who was taken later to, kind of quiet down and think that based on his draft pick, where he was placed at, is indicative of who he is as a player, who he is as a person. So, perfect opportunity to only continue to grow and to build, and Tennessee is a perfect place for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, players being taken late, like I've been saying all night, this draft class is very talented. This next season in the minors is going to be a special one to watch. Yeah, whoever Tennessee takes here, they're going to be definitely a threat one day down the road to play for Tennessee, and maybe give nightmares to some of these other pro teams if they try to prep for it. Yeah, and then they've got one more pick left. Teams are done picking at this point. As we 56th over pick. Um, yeah, we'll have to wait and see, I guess, who they take. But yeah, it's all forwards left at this point. Melbourne's got 3 more picks remaining, and there's the select. That's a player that you gave a shout out to, Squibs. Did you want to call that pick out?
Yeah. So, I mean, granted, when you say 5 names, one of them has a good chance of being right. So with the third pick in the 5th round, the Tennessee Black Bears select right winged, right playmaking right winger Jafari Blackwood. CGQ, if you're available to jump on and maybe chat about this pick for a few moments, feel free to. Otherwise, we're going to throw San Diego up onto the clock.
Yeah, I can talk about this pick for a little bit.
Yep.
So kind of looking at Jafari's build, I'm really, really liking the speed. Overall, right now we're trying to get a little bit faster, and you can never go wrong with a quick playmaker. Their passing is great. Their speed, acceleration, agility is all up there. That kind of shown to me, kind of pointed out right there. I was like, ooh, this looks excellent.
Yeah,
Perfect.
for sure. And those attributes are all huge. No matter what position you play, you want to see the speed, acceleration, agility, all I guess climbing up there because especially if Blackwood's going to be in your pro roster anytime soon, you're going to have to be able to keep up with some of the speedy guys we've got at the pro roster. Pivoting to another Tennessee staff member, Biff Markham, did you have any follow-up thoughts on Blackwood or just your draft as a whole so far with 1 pick remaining?
Uh, yeah, like CGQ, we really like his speed. That having somebody at that level with that kind of speed was hard to pass up.
For sure. Yeah, Squibs, do you want to shout out the San Diego pick?
Yeah. I think I might take a more mellow approach and just shouting it out. With this 4th pick in the 5th round, San Diego Reapers select right wing Joshy Mello, who is a sniper. Evan, you want to take it away?
Yeah, you joked that you might not be invited back after all these plans. I don't know if it's a joke. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Melo, it's a new player to the league. I don't think played in any minor league games last season. I think was one of the last additions to the draft showcase. There's a couple players in the draft class that obviously didn't get to play in the showcase, but I believe Melo did. And San Diego again, not caring so much about the progressions under the belt, just going for somebody active to add to their affiliate program and see what they can build up there as as they're growing and a young team trying to develop over there in San Diego. What are your thoughts on Melo and I guess the notion of picking activity over build and minor league success?
Well, if I didn't include what Doug just sent me, um, he said that I'm just out here joshing around. So
Oh my God.
I can't say that my puns are all coming from me. A majority are. But this is why Doug and I share Tokyo. We're just out here together, just making puns, making everything fun, good laughs. Um, some of the players' names in this league, kind of lead themselves to that, and other ones are straightforward. And I think that's the some of the amazing things about this league is that we have a wide variety of player names, and some of them are simple letters, and other ones are first names with colors at the end, like Matt Purple, Matt Orange, Matt Green, something along those lines. Um, so I think, just looking at player names, there's a lot of fun that you can go with it and a lot of different ways you can go with it. But yeah, kind of what you're talking about, activity, I think has been the key to San Diego's draft up to this point. Definitely, I think something that, Matt values, if you look at his pro squad, definitely something that, goes a long way. And so, yeah, I think, it's a very solid pick for them, especially at this point in the draft. Back to you, Evan.
Yeah, and their owner Matt Green is such an ample example of an active player, and a big reason why he was kind of near the top of the ownership applicant list at the time was just his activity and involvement in the league, and he continues that still obviously as a team owner. Speaking of, I think Matt is actually available to come on here for a moment or two. Matt, did you want to talk? I believe that's your last pick of the night. I guess talk about maybe Joshie Mello and the rest of the picks that you made tonight and what you think of your draft class.
Well, I got something else to talk about first. I'm not going to let slide. Is the fact that Squibs, the moment I come in here, is going to start calling me Matt Purple. And you know what? I'm thinking about just going with a name change just because it says that, and it's my colors for my team. I'm just going to become Matt Purple then. But
Then he'll
I
just start
do.
calling you Matt Orange instead.
I might
Yeah,
call
he
him
probably
Green
will.
again.
Yeah, but going off that, I do like the picks I made tonight. The draft class is really active and a good group of people, and I know most of them as friends and stuff like that. So I'll be enjoying having company with them and all that. And I would, like you said, I value activity over the builds and stuff that they made so far. And then picking Skylar Stevens was a no-brainer for me at the start because he's one of my favorite people to talk to in this league.
Yeah, for sure. And like builds are great and goals and assists are great and stuff like that, but if you're not active, you're not going to be around for those builds to really matter. So definitely makes sense to weigh activity much higher than anything else, especially at the minor league level when they're still improving.
Give me 1 second.
All right, so now moving on to the Norfolk Navigators selection. Did you want to announce that one, Squid, or do you want me to take it?
Yeah, this is a pretty straightforward name. I feel very confident in saying it. Saying that I'll probably say it wrong. Too straightforward looking sometimes, like Patrick Waugh. Regardless, fifth pick in the fifth round by Norfolk Navigators is sniper Adam Rage. Uh, that now puts Florida on the clock. Evan, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, Rage is the guy who came in late. He was assigned to the Manitoba Snowhawks. Now, obviously, as a Norfolk pick, he'll go over to another Canadian Prairie in Saskatoon. But as soon as right from his first game as a Snowhawk, he started scoring a bunch of goals and doing his thing. So something about his build, or maybe it was just luck. You never know. But we'll get to see it a little bit more in Saskatoon with bigger sample size next season. But a player who had an immediate impact for Manitoba. As they were in a playoff race when he joined, and he did his best to kind of help that cause. They fell just short, but yeah, he'll be looking to help Saskatoon get revenge on that cup loss that they had last season to Warsaw. And I think, yeah, Florida's on the clock here, and then we'll probably have Trev come on maybe if he's available after he's done pick here. What direction do you think that Florida's going to go here, Squibs? Obviously, there's a number of guys left, like we discussed, forwards only at this point, but there's some really talented options still on the board. Sergei Kovalev is one of them. Yeah, there's just a number of other options here for Florida to go. Which direction are you thinking they're going to take?
Yeah, looking at, what they've already taken at least two-way forwards. So, yeah, my assumption here is, maybe a guy like Kenny Cage, a guy like Sergei Kovalev, a couple of playmakers right there. Another guy that kind of pops out in my head then is Chris Leone, a sniper there. Just another guy who, is a little bit just, a step behind Cage and Kovalev based in overall. But at the same time, Trev has multiple different ways he could go. And then yeah, there's a handful of defensive forwards still available. So maybe Trev keeps the trend going. Evan, other than Kovalev, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, like I said, there's still a number of players here on the board. Judah Dorgan's another one, but like you said, they've taken quite a few two-way forwards already. I could see them going with Angelica Farnsworth. That's another playmaker, left-handed, 5'7", 175. So a pretty small build, but definitely a worthy build. Like we see a lot of the top scorers in this league at a small size like that. Like obviously Grizzle Bear is the extreme of that. I saw myself, Escola and Hume, who are at about 5'9", 170, 175, something like that. So just because Farnsworth has a little bit of a lower size doesn't mean that it wouldn't be a valid pick here. If they did want to go with a bit of a bigger size, you got Ian Baker sitting there at 6'6" as another option. Henry Montgomery has quite the pedigree so far, coming from Vancouver. So this would be a chance to reunite him with the Whales and see how he does in another season there. But yeah, like you said, there's so many options. Cage, Boo, on all these guys board here for Florida as we're coming up on a minute 20 remaining on their final selection of the draft, I believe. We'll just wait to see if he picks here. Do we want to maybe call on a guest here? Leathers, if you're available, maybe if you want to come on and talk. You just won the MVP award, which is no small thing here in this league. Your team's done picking here. As the reigning MVP, do you have any thoughts for I guess these prospects entering the draft and I guess what they can do to maybe be in your shoes one day if you're available? Yeah, probably not
Oh,
available.
no, I'm sorry. I just had to get back to my computer for a second. Can you repeat the question though, please? You're asking what they can do to get into my shoes after some time in the league.
Yeah, so yeah, like as the reigning MVP, I guess do you have any advice for the guys who are hearing their name called here? And if I'm not mistaken, you weren't an early pick. You weren't a late pick either. But what advice do you have for these guys coming into the league?
Yeah, for sure. I think really the most important advice I could give is just be patient, right? I don't think. I mean, I wasn't MVP or really had won any awards after some seasons for being here. So patience is the big thing, and just enjoying your team and enjoying the league. I think is kind of what I like most about this. And then whatever accolades and team success and etc. might come with that is sort of secondary. So I think that to me is the best way to enjoy the league, and then all that stuff will sort of come with time and experience.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a good point. Just being patient and enjoying the league. It takes time to build your player, and that's by design in this league. Like we since day one, the people who were in power back then and the people in power now kind of share a similar view in that this league's about growing slowly. It's not about being 95 overall after one season. It takes time to develop your player, and that's part of what makes the league so great. Is just kind of grow over time and really having that commitment. With that, the Florida selection is in. The sixth pick of the fifth round is Kenny Cage, a new player, a playmaker on the right wing, I should say. Going to be joining the Vancouver Gohls as a Florida affiliate. That's going to put Alaska on the clock for the final pick of the seventh round. Let's maybe, yeah, sorry, the seventh pick of the fifth round. My mistake. Um, on the clock now for Alaska. Trevor Lopez, if you're available, did you want to maybe comment on that pick of Cage and the rest of your draft classes? We haven't heard from you yet tonight. Trev?
Sounds good. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Hey, Trev.
Hmm?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm doing all right. So, sorry, my mic was acting up. So, with our last pick with Cage, we decided that at this point we're all looking at dart throws, and honestly, I felt that a playmaker on the wing is probably the best thing for our team. Now, as for the rest of our draft, you look at our center. We took Parker in the first round. If you look at our history with centers on our team, between Beamer, Conrad, and originally with Henry, we have a history of drafting solid playmaking centers. Why not go with one more? It works well for us. It always worked well for us long term. So why fix what's not broken? Second round, we traded up for who we felt was the best defenseman on the board. Our team struggled on defense last year, so we wanted to rectify that for this upcoming season. Third round pick, we went a little off the board and decided to go for a two-way forward in the third round. I know the player personally from another league. I feel that he's going to be a solid contribution because no matter what your build is, all it takes is good progression work to make it happen. Fourth round pick, that one was a pretty easy selection. Reunite a former Vancouver player with the Whales yet again. And fifth round pick, I already explained.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for hopping on with that analysis. It's always great to hear, I guess, what goes into the decision to make some draft picks here. And with that, we have a little bit of catch up to do here. So we're gonna throw it back to Squibs if you want to take a stab at that Alaska draft pick.
Yeah. Thanks, Evan, for it. With the seventh pick of the fifth round, and not the final pick of the seventh round, as Evan alluded to already. Alaska takes Sergei Kovalev with that pick, now putting Melbourne on the clock. Evan, what's the thoughts on Sergei?
Yeah, to take a stab at my little mishap there. I was hoping you'd mispronounce the name after that, but you did a good enough job. So, Kovalev's a player who played for Malmo last season, and he's going to be switching over to Manitoba this time around as an Alaska affiliate, and it's a player that came in I think a little bit later in the season, but showed a dangerous scoring prowess at times for Malmo. A solid pick for Alaska here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree with you. Interestingly enough, my roommate, my freshman year of undergrad, he was Siberian. His last name was Stiepik. His older brother's first name was Sergey. So had a little bit of experience with at least Sergey. And Kovalev looked pretty straightforward. Granted, my Siri does not like me saying Sergey. But yeah, Kovalev looked pretty straightforward. Took a shot at it. Evan, I'll kick it back to you to announce the Melbourne pick. Actually, this time I hope that neither of us can mess up with this one.
Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward name to pronounce here with the first pick of the 6th round. As I noticed, the pick numbers are a little bit screwy on that side, but it's Henry Montgomery, the winger out of Vancouver. He's a sniper. Yeah, very a solid pick here. Honestly, shocked that he's available in the 6th round. And as we saw with the last round or two, we've started to see a lot more of like the newer players starting to go, which makes sense that being new to the league, not a whole lot of progression, you'd fall this far. But Henry Montgomery is somebody who's been around for a little bit and had some success in Vancouver and has been reunited with his old Vancouver locker room here as a Melbourne Marauders affiliate. And that throws Boston on the clock. What are your thoughts here, Squids?
Well, I just jumped over to the Twitch chat and saw that right before his name got announced, he said Henry Montgomery is here. Something right along those lines. Yeah, Henry Montgomery here in all caps. And about 2 seconds later, his name got announced. So, I mean, as a username on Twitch is bombs away. I gotta say, based on the look and based on what has already been discussed, the pick was pretty solid. Might call it a bomb in the making. So, hopefully, for Montgomery, he's able to explode next season and take it a step farther, and one day, help the Marauders at the pro level. So, back to you, Evan.
Yeah, I saw I saw that pun coming right away. I was bracing for it. I don't know if you could see it on my face, but yeah, and I think I noticed, it's a little small on my screen at the window I'm looking at, but I think I noticed it was the first time viewer chat from him. So great to see him in the chat and enjoying the draft here. So welcome to the chat, Montgomery, and congratulations on being picked by Melbourne here to show up. With that, the Boston pick is on the clock or on the board, already made here. Boston Unicorns select two-way forward center Judah Dorgan, somebody who spent a little bit of time in the league way back when in one, I believe, and now has been back in the league for some time. And another, Montgomery and Dorgan, a couple of whales here that were taken very, I guess, later than I expected based on how long they've been around. But, Boston gets a solid affiliate forward here for Judah. What are your thoughts on the pick of Dorgan here?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Dorgan has one of the highest face-off ratings out of all the minor players. So I mean, that's definitely something to kind of consider. Getting a guy who is good at face-offs this late in the draft for your minors team. It's definitely a solid play. Looking at a guy like McChuckles that we've already kind of talked about, already. He's one of the best face-off players in the league, and he's a grinder build. So. It's not always going to be those playmakers, that are listed as that who are, going to always win the puck. A guy like Dorgan, who, like I said, I believe has one of the highest ratings, who, could possibly lead the minors league next season in face-off wins and face-off percentage if he sticks it out at center for Vancouver.
Yeah, you said one of the highest, so I went ahead and checked, and he is actually the highest in the draft class. I don't know about the whole minor leagues, but the highest face-off rating in the draft class at 88 out of 88. So he's maxed out at that point, so he'll have to use his year in league bonus to up that max a little bit if he wants to keep going. But yeah, the highest in the draft class as far as face-offs go. So um, moving on, we've got the Tennessee pick on the board. It is playmaking center Angelica Farnsworth. Another player I expect to see a little bit late or earlier, but that seems to be the trend here. So maybe it's just too many talented players here. But what are your thoughts on Angelica going here to Tennessee at number 63?
Well, talking about playmaking centers with the previous pick, it's definitely something that you can build. And I think, being a center, with just how the progressions are set up, being able to learn either the wings and getting those bonuses that are there very solid. Whereas if you're a winger, you have to choose, do you want to, kind of prioritize, face offs and, kind of learning more of that center position, or do you want to improve, being on the wing? Kind of up in the air for everybody. And a guy like Scurvy Dog, who started his career as I believe, a left wing playmaker, is now pretty much a full time center for Jacksonville. Whereas some other players, such as myself, went, and kind of boosted their stats that were presented from the other wing side. So, as Trev alluded to earlier, any player can really kind of take their build and make the most out of it based on being smart with progression. So definitely something that can go a long way. And based on this success Tennessee has already built with some of their some of their players, and how they have grown since coming into the league, Farnsworth is definitely in a good spot. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Evan, back to you.
Yeah, like you said, a playmaking center is always addition. They start with that nice 75 face-off rating as a base, and then can obviously go up from there. Yeah, so I guess let's keep going. We've got some catch up to do. Here I'm gonna announce the pick here for Norfolk, and then I'll let you take it away and maybe bring in a guest as I sort something out here. But we're gonna have left wing sniper John Woods is the pick for the Norfolk Navigators.
Yeah.
Scribs, what are your thoughts on that?
Kind of as what Trev alluded to earlier, sometimes these are dart throws, and nobody ever really wants to be, alluded to as a dart throw. But sometimes, you just kind of run into, whether it's joining late into the league or, just kind of being quieter. And so, yeah, it's kind of, a risk, that you're willing to take at this point in the draft, that you might not be as willing to earlier in the draft. So, it could pay off for Norfolk. Sam has set up, a very solid draft for this year. I'm excited to see how all of our new owners do, moving forward. So let's see. I'm not sure if Reed is still available or Matt Green is still available. But if either of you guys are available to jump on and would like to talk about, just being, a newer owner. I know Reed has kind of talked about it a little bit. So Green, if you're around to talk about it.
Well, I mean, Evan told me that I don't count as new anymore, so I don't know if you want to reach out to me or not. But I was told by them that I don't count as newer anymore.
You're still new. You're still new.
But yeah, I really like the draft experience and everything as an owner. It's really fun. I like being an owner here. Good group of people to be around too, all the owners in the league and everything. Good group to talk to, stuff like that.
What's your favorite thing of being an owner?
I'm gonna have to go with what Reed said. I really like getting to set my own lines and my strats and stuff and figuring out what works and doesn't work. Because I remember I heard him talk about that earlier. It's like I like that part of the aspect of being an owner. It's really fun. And then getting like a good group of active people together that get along with each other. That's another fun thing I like to do. As you can tell by who I pick and all that.
Yeah. So I guess if you had to choose one thing that you don't enjoy about being an owner, what is that and why?
I'm gonna have to say being bullied every day by each and every one of you.
You cannot confirm nor deny that. So, I'll leave that up in the air and for the viewers' discretion. Thank you, Matt, for joining. Evan, are you back?
I'm back. Yeah, sorry. Just yeah, a few times had to hop off here, deal with some stuff here. But Matt, don't lie. You love us picking on you, and it's all in good fun anyway.
Oh yeah. It is. I just wanted to pick on that one little part. if you want me to be serious, I'd really have to think about it because I haven't really had any issues or anything that I haven't liked about this league. Maybe what you had picked on earlier before is having to choose between certain players in the draft when you really like sort of get attached to them and everything. That's one part that I don't like for real. Having to tell them, and then like when you were saying the cap where you can't afford players that you've liked on your team for a while, that's something I probably won't like when that time comes too.
Yeah, for sure. That's obviously going to be something a lot of us are going to have to deal with sooner than later for some anyway. All right, so we have the first pick of the seventh round, the only pick of the seventh round, and final, the final pick of the draft. Main draft here anyway. Oh, my cord loose there, and it is Chris Leon of Manitoba, I believe. Could be wrong where he's coming from, but he is going to the Melbourne Otters. What are your thoughts on the sniper Chris Leon going here to Melbourne?
I honestly kind of was thinking that Krieg might take him, not too long ago. A guy named Chris Lee Own, who's a sniper. Definitely somebody that, like I said, I could see Krieg taking for very obvious reasons for who's currently there in Alaska. Um, Melbourne, though, regardless, a solid player from, based on what I can see of him, and somebody who I think, could grow and, rival one Chris Lee over in Alaska one day soon.
Yeah, right to the very end, you're continuing with the puns. You gotta respect the dedication for sure. Yeah, that's just another a solid pick here from Melbourne. I don't think you could really go wrong with a number of these prospects here. Um, especially this late. Options starting to get a little bit limited, but definitely a nice pick for Melbourne here. What are your thoughts, Squibs, on I guess how the draft unfolded, and yeah, I guess Florence was able to do as well as a league. How tonight went for you?
Yeah, when you're invited as the draft co-host, the assumption is that you probably did some studying and know a thing or two about prospects, but when you're not entirely sure too much about them, the easiest thing to do is find a way to make a pun. That way, it sounds like you at least know somewhat what you're talking about. Humor makes everything better, so laughter will at least distract the people long enough. So, regardless, I'm ecstatic to have been back, and I look forward to next year when I can maybe hopefully up the notch a little bit. I learned a thing or two from last year. Showed up in a shirt and tie this time. Debated the crew neck and tie, as Dave and I talked about earlier. Granted, that's still packed in a box somewhere. Um, Part of the reason I didn't get as much studying in is for the prospects as I wanted to was because of a move. But regardless, very excited for where Florence stands for this upcoming season between free agency and then any of the trades that we've made, as well as then just where Tokyo stands between mine and Doug's draft. And that's from a personal standpoint. From a league standpoint, I'm super excited to see just how all of these new teams and new owners kind of interact, and all of these players who are getting kind of bigger leadership roles and taking that next step forward in league growth is only going to help our league grow stronger, better, and each team is just going to continue to grow stronger and better. So excited to be here, happy to have done it. I'll send it back to you, Evan.
Yeah, and like you kind of touched on the working with Doug over in Vegas, and something for Tokyo. That's something that has been touched on a few times tonight. With as pro teams are full, the next thing to build is your affiliate team and try to help them. And we're seeing obviously Alaska and Honolulu are together with Manitoba. I've had some conversations, previously, and then as well during the draft tonight with Triple H over in Rome now, and working on helping Malmo. So it's definitely something that pro teams are not ignoring. They're they're definitely working to help their minor league affiliates and try to get those championships. And like we said, most of the players drafted here tonight, I think something like 60-ish or 58, 59 of the 65 picks will be playing in the minors next season. So, yeah, it's going to be a heck of a season. Going to be our most experienced minor league core, as well as our most shallow rookie class in the pros that we've seen probably in our history. So, yeah, just phenomenal to see that sort of, I guess, cooperation even between some division rivals and things like that. So, yeah, heck of a show, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I don't know if we got any guests we didn't get around to. Oh, I think we might have one here in a moment, but yeah, it was a lot of fun here. Enjoyed having Squibs on again. Host, it's the first time we've had. I mentioned this before the show, but it's the first time we've had both hosts wearing a tie. So you gotta love it. Dressing up a little bit, but Kozak, I see you're in here now. Did you want to maybe hop on and give your thoughts? You know, you're not a staff member, but as a player, did you want to hop in and give your thoughts maybe on how Turku did as your team, or what you thought of the draft production as a whole? And yeah, I think we lost him again. All good. So, yeah, beyond that, there's not a whole lot left to, I guess, get to here. If you didn't hear your name called tonight, don't worry about it. There's a few players that weren't drafted. You will get your minor league assignments. I was going to do them on the show here, but with so many trades and moving pieces, it was hard to track where all the minor league teams are at in real time. So those announcements out tomorrow with um, what teams you guys will be on if you went undrafted. Kozak just DM'd me what he wanted to say. He just wanted to thank us all for the job that we do. I assume as a draft production, but also as a league. There's a lot of people in this league that work hard to make this thing run. So I'll kind of tie that into my end of show acknowledgments. A huge shout out to Amelia Rose, Earl Flint, like we talked about the graphics, as well as Rose working as DP, Doug Britton and myself working as deputy commissioner, working together, and of course Commissioner Krieg. Huge thanks to all the team owners, Squibs as one of those, as well as the show host, and a massive shout out to Dave Axis for continuing to outdo himself every season with this draft. And then, of course, the players and the community, this draft class, the commitment to playing in the minors, as well as just being a very positive community, 500 plus members and going strong. We've had our growing pains over the seasons, but we just get better every season, and it's a huge thing to have a community this strong and this positive in a league of this size. So thank you all um, for your time, and I hope you guys enjoy the league and what we've got coming up for you guys. Did you have anything to add to that, Squibs?
No. Thanks to you. Thanks to Krieg. Thanks to Doug and Rose for all the hard work that you guys have put in the last year plus. Thanks to Dave Axis for his continued work and support on making the draft production in the league better. And thanks to everybody who's a part of this league, and for those who haven't joined yet and those who are to come. We're just going to keep making the league better and continue to grow. So I only look forward to where we're going to go from here.
Yeah, this league's growing every day, and we've got a lot to look forward to, I think. And yeah, a young league, but a very successful one, sure. I guess Dave, yeah, again, thank you for hosting this. Did you have any closing thoughts or anything you wanted to shout out?
No, I'm good. I think we had a great draft. A lot of great players. Very happy with the Tennessee draft as well. Looking forward to seeing all these affiliates playing in the minor league. Keep an eye on them, as well as all of the rookies drafted. And I think this is going to be the best season of Gohls yet coming up.
Absolutely. Every season's our best, and yeah, it's great to see us continuing to move forward in that light. So without further ado, again, thank you all to the community. Thank you all to watching. I don't know what our viewer count got up to tonight, but I feel like every draft it grows, and seeing the chat moving quite a bit is great to see. So thank you all for being a part of this league, and season 5 is just around the corner. Regular season kicks off on Labor Day, preseason a week before that. So look out for that, and we'll see you all on the ice. Thanks, guys.